let me bring Nick Fuentes on and then do nothing but be like, hey, son, we're just really disappointed. It's like, you know what it feels like? Okay, I finally found the words for it. Bringing Nick Fuentes on and then having him talk to Hunter Biden feels like trying to talk to Cartman. Dude, what the fuck is like, what is this? Like, what the fuck is this? Nick Fuentes interview featuring Hunter Biden. Who, what?
You said you want to ask me, why are you a Nazi?
Inclusion has been our greatest strength. Diversity has been our greatest strength.
White people do feel like we are being boxed out.
A 26-year-old white kid doesn't feel like he has access because he's been canceled, and the problem is black people.
I didn't say the problem's black people.
Well, you just did, Nick. You just
I said the problem is crime, and we know who's doing the crime in Chicago.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
About the Holocaust things?
Oh, about that.
We get to say whatever we want on the internet. We get to deny the Holocaust.
As far as Jews are concerned in general, I think that everybody in the country should be treated with dignity and respect and have their civil rights.
Like, what do you think about somebody like Mamdani?
Personally, I don't like him. Like, for example, on 4th of July, when he takes the opportunity to sit there with, let's be honest, not a single white person.
What about fucking Donald Trump? There's no ideological core to Donald Trump.
No, I agree with you.
Don Jr. got the largest loan ever given by the Department of Defense.
Vance owes his entire political career to Peter Thiel. Whichever firm is the one to develop ASI, that could confer dictatorial-like powers upon the CEO of that company.
Everything that we think about the way in which we exist in the world completely changes.
Increasingly with Uber, Airbnb, bank.
Can I just ask, who is the target audience for this? Torture Saturday. The Max Center. You've heard of the Max Left? You haven't heard of the Max Right. Now get ready for the Max Center.
Banking apps, you can't live your life.
You know what I've always thought in my head? I was like, damn, if only I could get a guy with a 9-inch dick and an addiction to crack to talk to a white supremacist, gay Mexican twink Nazi. If only I could just have that happen. I've always wanted those two things, those two worlds to collide. I've thought that so many times in my life.
Life without the tech platforms.
Everything that AI is built on is ours.
I have attractive leftist friends who think Hunter Biden is hot. Help me understand. I mean, I see it. I'm sorry. Can I just say, like, the moment I decided I get where they're coming from is watching that video of him arguing with, like, the sex worker, him arguing with whoever that woman was about how much crack they had. Like, you know how crazy, polite, and how much of a gentleman you have to be to politely, as a crack addict, you're horribly addicted to crack and you're still being polite to the foreign prostitute. You're like, no, I'm telling you, man, it should be 9.8 grams of crack. He's like, I don't think so. Do you know, you've got to be a great gentleman if you, as someone who's addicted to crack, are still being polite to people who normally get abused in that field of work. Like,
that's what they're stealing from us. I want to find common ground of how much of a shithead Donald Trump is. We can get there, okay?
The kind of first question that I had whenever I caught wind that you wanted to do an interview like this is, why now? What made you want to sit down for this kind of interview?
Well, I think it's an interesting conversation to have all of us here. And, I think it's a moment in our...
Is it an interview? Is it really?
Our country when there's a lot of realignment. I think that people recognize, especially in the past couple of years, I'm like a non-conventional critic, maybe, of what's happening. And so I think it'll be an interesting, productive conversation. I think it'll be different.
But I mean, specifically, because we kind of share a publicist, I heard that you wanted to kind of... Okay, we have a publicist that you hit up, and you said that you wanted to talk to someone who would give you kind of a fair shot to like clear up some things and maybe some misconceptions about you and the things you believe.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I think that, you know, I'm somebody who I think like you, actually, maybe we have this in common, is kind of pigeonholed in a certain way for things that we've done in the past or things that we've said.
Yeah, I'm a crackhead. Yeah,
But I'm racist, right?
I got pigeonholed there. Mine is true. Yeah.
Yeah, well, mine's a little true. Maybe a little, no. But yeah, so I think it'd be good to clear up some of the misrepresentations and put out something accurate.
So what do you think is the most misrepresented thing about you?
Well, I think really the whole image everybody has about me. You know, when you mentioned me, I think on a recent show, you said you want to ask me, why are you a Nazi?
Yeah.
And that's how everybody knows me. Everybody thinks of me as a white supremacist.
He calls himself one. Why do... Are you guys going to make me pull up a video of him calling himself a Nazi? He describes himself as a Nazi. How could that possibly be a misrepresentation?
Nazi, and I don't think that's really true at all. I think that we definitely have different values. I mean, you're more from the left, I'm more from the right, but I don't think I'm a hater. I'm not a hateful person.
It is Heil Hitler Friday, Heil Hitler, all my niggas Nazis.
Morgan was Hitler was very fucking cool.
Yes, I do.
One of the
And I'm tired of pretending he's not.
So what's the thing about, I guess, traditional Nazism that you think you disagree with the most?
Well, it's a non-Christian ideology. So, I mean, look, I believe that race is real, as the Nazis did, but I don't think it utterly defines a person. As a Christian, I think we're all created beings. I do believe there's such a thing as a universal human community. And so I think it's a cruel ideology. I've said this on my show, by the way, but I mean, that would maybe be the fundamental.
Did you always feel that way?
Always, yeah, absolutely.
So even whenever you were younger and stuff?
I did, but you know, you got to recognize times have changed. 10 years ago, we had a totally different political world. The regulation and policing of speech, you know, what you would call wokeness, I think was at an all-time high when I got started as a very young man.
Wait, what you would call wokeness?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and I think, I mean, would you not say there were some excesses maybe in those days?
Yeah, in those days, I was.
Can I just say the problem that I have with anyone talking about the excess of wokeness in those days, besides the fact that it's like dishonest framing and like people being too woke doesn't make normal people Nazis. Just really fast on that front. I have to say the thing that pisses me off so bad is like you could also just like ignore it. Like I'm a pretty woke person. I'm a pretty big wokey. All right, and I was even more woke way back when. And I'm going to be honest, when I run into people that are more woke than me, you just don't have to interact with those people. Like, I understand why Hassan stopped the woke of the day meme, and it's because it kind of like, it ended up being used in a way that wasn't beneficial. But everybody's run into these people, the like woke of the day people. Where it's like, what the fuck are you even like petitioning for exactly? I'm not one to say that, oh, that's too pie in the sky. Like you should try to get what you want to get. But some of the ideas that I've seen are just like nonsensical. Like it's just totally nonsensical.
Anyway, I would love to hear, and I'm not asking you to like retract everything that you've ever said and all the, you know, or anything, but I said that I would love to talk to you because number one, I told you this, is that I think you're really smart. And I think that with that comes in a real responsibility. And you have an audience. And I have a friend whose son is my daughter's age, you know, maybe 28, you know, your age. And he's really smart. And he is a big fan of yours. And so by virtue of the relationship, I got to learn what it is that why he is a fan of yours. And none of it has to do with, I would hope you agree, like really egregious things that you've said in the past about the Holocaust or about,
Did the Jews ever talk about the 100 million whites that died in World War II? Or do they just bitch and moan about the so-called 6 million Jews that died?
And so it's just nice to poke holes in it and say, it's not 6 million.
6 million? I don't think so.
and I don't even know, I think I've heard you since kind of rescind a lot of that.
You concede that 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust.
Possibly more. Possibly, we're discovering all the time. So it could be, maybe even be more than that.
But what he agrees with is kind of the anger about the situation that particularly your generation finds yourself in. I know that to be real. And I think that there, maybe my reasons for recognizing that anger as being legitimate and my targets are different than yours. I just wanted to hear from you. When you say you were canceled by the right in 2016.
Yes.
I almost felt like in preparing to meet you now, is that your reaction to that was to just dig deeper and deeper into kind of the outsider, kind of radical, say anything for the purpose of generating, the attention to build an audience. Is that true? And it's not an accusation. I really mean it. I want this to be a conversation as much as possible.
I mean, there's certainly some truth to that, but I think that might be overstating it a little bit because I really got canceled by the right and the left.
Yeah.
And back in those days,
Canceled by the left for being a Nazi is crazy.
in 2017, you had these far left journalists at Huffington Post, Right Wing Watch, ADL, SPLC, and I really believe they were on a mission to find extremist rhetoric, the white nationalist, neo-Nazi boogeyman, all that kind of stuff. And they would look at someone like myself, 18, and if I was being serious or joking, things taken out of context, they would clip it, post it, and they wanted me to be the villain. And I think they wanted a lot of people to be the villain. And I think the left, in a way, kind of created this climate where I think they pushed a lot of people farther to the right.
No, by the way,
canceling them.
that very well may be true, but you gave them a lot of ammunition.
That's true.
I mean, I hope that some of those things that you said in the past are not things that you believed in and that are you meant just to engender like a really radical kind of response. I mean, is that true or not?
Well, again, I think that back in those days, you could not say anything. In 2017, 2018, cancel culture was so in overdrive. Any joke, any edgelording, anything like that, they would, first of all, there's no sense of humor.
I'm so old. I don't even, what's
Okay, well, to break it
edgelording?
down for you, so the dawn of wokeness as it's known today, I think was in like the post-Trump era. After Trump won the election in 2016, there was a big move.
When they say you couldn't do this, what the fuck did they mean by that? Like, I genuinely don't understand. Like, during wokeness era, you couldn't do anything. People were sending Anita Sarkeesian death threats and rape threats. What the fuck is he talking about? You couldn't do this. What?
Movement to deplatform and kind of push away those who I guess the left feel like had galvanized them into the presidency. So there was this big idea that if you push people off mainstream social media platforms, they would go away. Now we know through Trump's reelection, that's not even true. But at the time, that was the mantra. Problematic viewpoints needed to be silenced, tucked away somewhere, and they would just sort of die in isolation. So I think that was the climate where you first got started, 2017. That time period was like crucial for getting people off mainstream platforms. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I would say that you got to get into the psychology of those days. It felt like anybody that wasn't on board with the most progressive agenda had no options. There was just no alternative. It was going to be progressive, liberal, feminist, BLM, all that kind of stuff. And if you were to the right of John McCain, you're no platformed. Censored, banned from all the platforms. You're fired from your job. You're ostracized socially. And I think what happened...
Well, how does he explain the Daily Wire exactly?
And really in 2021 when Trump...
I just want to understand.
Got banned from the platforms is it felt like 70 million people got canceled. 70 million people that voted for Trump, or 60, 70 million people. We were...
By the way, these are the same people that say like a bakery shouldn't have to make you your gay cake because it's a private business. That private businesses are allowed to have whatever policy that they want because that's their right as a private business. And then the moment that a private business decides to do the exact same thing to their side, they get really upset and butthurt about it. And then they start inventing new ways and like loopholes to be able to say, well, it's not fair to me.
All felt like, oh, so if Trump is out of politics and we're all banned from the platforms, then how is there any redress for our grievances? Do we just have to shut up and get with the program and we're all going to be progressive? And I think that drove people to a far more radical place where people said, well, what really is a solution?
He's literally describing peak Rogan era. Hello. This is like during the period of time that he's talking about where it was like peak woke SJW. I would say that started in 2014. And then it like, I would say collapsed post 2017. And that was the time when a bunch of right-wingers got their start. So I don't know what the fuck I literally don't understand what the other thing too is if you go outside and talk to people, you know that like things haven't really changed. Like people don't change their opinions based on these like, or change their behaviors based on these like immaterial, vague ideas about what culture should be. They change their opinions based on the people around them. Right? The vast majority of people that I know that have stopped saying the R word, they don't say it because they know someone in their life who would want them to stop saying it. And they like that person and they respect that person, so they choose to do that for their friend. It's not about like, oh, well, this is what society thinks I should start doing, so I guess I have to start doing it. Like, it's not, I would say like 90-something+% of people that I've talked to, their behavior has changed and made, quote, more woke or less woke because of the people in their lives and wanting to be friends with people in their lives. That's it. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. I know lots of people who are not very like political, and they don't really engage with anything in like a meaningful way at all. And they're like, I don't really understand non-binary people, but like, I'm not going to be disrespectful. If I'm friends with someone and they want me to use like they, them, I'll just use they, them. I don't care. If they're cool and I like hanging out with them and they're fun to hang out with and they're fun to play games with, then sure, man, whatever you want. Whatever would like, you know, if that makes you happy, sure. It's not that, it's really not at all an inconvenience. It, like they view it the same. I think normal people view those social niceties the same way that you would view wearing shoes inside of someone's house that tells you to not wear shoes in their house. It's just about being respectful to the friends and people in your life. Even if you wear shoes, bare feet feels weird. That's why you always bring a spare sock. That's why you always bring socks with you. Also, you don't have to be worried about your bare feet inside if their floor is clean. Like, again, it's just like not, it's just like a non-issue that's like blown out of proportion to like justify being a hardcore right-winger, being like, the leftists took it too far and that's why we had to go so extreme. It's like, no, they didn't. Again, if you went out in like the real world, people were pretty reasonable and they changed their behavior based on the people around them, and that's it, because they wanted to.
Can't talk, we can't express ourselves, we can't participate in the process or run for office. And I was one of
I mean, also I would say like right-wingers feel this I think it's innate to being, especially men, but conservative men, there's like this what's the word? There's this sense of like ownership and entitlement. Where, have you guys seen, maybe some of you have experienced this personally, but also if you've seen, maybe you've had friends or if you've seen them on social media, messages between like right-wingers talking to liberal women on dating apps and then being rejected. It's like, But your whole shtick is you want to go find a conservative trad wife. Why the fuck are you even swiping on someone that says that they're liberal or continuing to talk to them? And then why are you upset when they're not interested in you? Like, your entitlement is crazy. I cannot imagine putting on my dating profile leftist or liberal or whatever, putting whatever the opposite of right wing is on that particular platform, and then matching with a right winger and then getting mad because they don't want to date a left winger. And then posting it online and being like, see, liberal women are so fucking disgusting and annoying and cringe, and they're all losers that are going to die alone. It's like, what? So who cares then? Just go meet the conservative women. What? I'm so confused. This is not a problem you should be dealing with. And I do think like the root of a lot of like conservative ideas is this frustration that other people don't want to adhere to the exact particular lifestyle that they adhere to, and it makes them uncomfortable. Like things that complicate their world make them upset. Not necessarily Nick Fuentes, because I think Nick Fuentes knowingly tries to spread or like goes further than that. But I think like the average conservative that voted Trump, their perspective is like a lot more simple, like way more simple. And that perspective is just, but I don't like that this makes me uncomfortable. But gay people make me uncomfortable. Like, I think that a lot of the transphobia is rooted in, but what if I'm talking to a woman and she's pretty and she's trans? That really makes my life so hard. It's like, really? I feel like you're just making this a big problem for no reason. Like, people are different, like, grow up. Or the people that complain about colored hair or whatever, it's like, really? It makes you upset? But it's like, they can do whatever they want with it. What? I don't understand. The people that get mad that women get piercings or tattoos or whatever, as someone who has no tattoos and as someone who has 2 bitch-made piercings, just like the bottom of my lobe piercings, and that's it. I don't understand feeling entitled to some stranger not getting tattoos. I literally don't understand. It's like you literally just want everyone to fit in the box that you want them to fit in, so it makes your life easy. That's it. That's literally all that you're just mad about this. It's so crazy. I'm sorry, man. Other people are people and they have autonomy, and human beings like to be different from each other and are very different from each other. And when you run into someone who's different from you, it shouldn't make you like innately mad. You should just go meet other people that are similar to you then.
The people saying that's exactly what's going to happen. It's going to drive people to extremism. If you don't talk, if people don't feel like they have a seat at the table and enfranchisement, I think then they start exploring options outside the system, outside of the political process, the democratic process. So I think it's self-inflicted in many ways.
So you feel like after the mass deplatforming in 2021, whenever people on the right got pushed to platforms like Parler, Gab, Rumble, etc., the lack of discourse and like the political singularity of those platforms created more extremism?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because look, you take Trump off of Twitter, Facebook, Instagram.
Someone once said the mindset is something along the lines of if enough young women dye their hair, crops will fail. It's like some weird magical thinking. I mean, I agree that I think most people's understanding of it is that, but I also do think that like the Steelman position or the Steelman version of that position is, well, these are indicators that someone is bad for society. So kind of like, you know, when you see a profile picture and it's a guy in his truck with the fucking Oakleys on that are way too tight on his head and they're like squeezing all of the fucking blood circulation. You know what I'm talking, like you're getting it. It's not that there's anything wrong with taking a picture in your truck. It's not that there's anything wrong with having Oakleys. It's not that there's anything wrong with being red. It's that that person is signifying to you what group that they belong to, and you don't like what's in the group, or you think the group's ideas are bad. But the problem is when you talk to conservatives about the actual ideas, they can't even explain to you what they don't fucking like. Like the average conservative, when you're like, okay, like what positions do you even disagree with? And they're like, you guys just want all the immigrants to just do whatever they want. It's like, what? No, I think we should have better immigration policy so people don't feel like they need to go through the border. There are people that are like waiting for court dates for years. It would make it a lot easier for them to be legal here if we made our process better and faster. And then we would have less of this problem. Like what the fuck? Like if we had a faster pathway to citizenship and a clearer process to citizenship, we wouldn't have as many illegal immigrants. Like what? What do you, huh? Or they'll be like, you just want to trans all the children. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
YouTube, and I predicted this in 21. I said, watch, you're going to see alternative social media rise because some venture capitalists is going to see there's a huge market of 70 million people that are going to follow Trump because Trump is no platformed. And that's exactly what happened. Rumble blew up, Elon bought Twitter, and what happened when you had total free speech on these platforms? Well, Twitter now resembles 4chan. And now, there's no gatekeepers. And I think it did push people in a radical direction. And honestly, people are even blowing past me. Now there's like mainstream normie types that are even blowing past me in terms of how radical they are. People start saying things like, there's no political solution, there's going to be a civil war, we need a revolution. And I think that's because the message from the left was, you're crushed. You have no options, you can't win, there's no alternative. Trump is going to be indicted and charged and can't run. You can't be on Twitter, you can't have a job. And so people started to say, okay, well, we still exist. We're still here, we still have these concerns. What do we do now? And then people start to say, well, we need a revolution. And I'm one of the only people saying, no, we should still engage in the process and talk with each other. And it's not all one-sided. I think there's problems on the left and the right, but I certainly think it takes two to tango.
Okay, so there, we agree. I think that there are problems on the left and the right, and I don't disagree with some of the things that you just said. I guess I just came to
my brother who likes learning about leftism likes Channel 5. Can you tell him to stop? Sorry. Dumbass really acting like he doesn't predict every possible thing, so being right on this 1% claims that he's right all the time. Well, no, not quite. I think, how do I explain what I'm trying to say? I think that there are lazy, dishonest actors, and then I think that there are high-effort, dishonest actors. So I think Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens are examples of high-effort, dishonest content. That they actively make the world a worse place because they have to read up on all of the positions that left-wing people have and make sure that they have a retort for every single one of them that allows for some explanation for why they're right. Versus like Matt Walsh or who's another fucking complete more like Dave Rubin. Like these guys are fucking clowns. Like they don't even try to pretend to do their homework. They just spout whatever nonsense. Asmongold's another where I have like no blood supply. Could I get my arm back for a little? Thanks. They don't even bother doing any of the research to have good positions. They just appeal to like authority and they appeal to like a tradition. Like they'll say this is how families are supposed to be in reference to like the nuclear family, which is an invention from like the past 100 years, right? Or they'll say like homosexuality is wrong because obviously it's like, what the fuck do you, they'll do like an appeal to nature. And it's like, what the fuck do you mean by that? Whereas the high effort posting is homosexuality is wrong because it's encouraging, what's the word that they like to use? Like not dangerous behavior, but not cultural behavior. Oh, it's encouraging deviant, degenerate behavior. And once someone is okay with engaging in this degenerate behavior, what other degenerate behavior are they going to be okay with? It's sort of like the really lazy, like, oh, we're going to let men marry each other. What's next? People and dogs, right? And I think that there is a very fundamental difference between the type of person that makes their shtick online or offline or whatever. Usually I'm just talking about people who make the content, the right-wing content. I do feel like there's a difference between, no, this isn't what God would want. And no, this is like the first step to complete and total societal failure. You know, the Roman Empire crumbled because of this. So it's still like, it's not that there's not any pseudo-intellectualism on the latter, but it's more so that there's less of it, or sorry, that there's less laziness. And I think Nick Fuentes does as little laziness as possible. Like, he has an argument for every argument. His argument for homosexuality or like against it or whatever, even though he's gay, is not, well, it's icky and gross or whatever, or just the Bible or something. It's about the degeneracy of society and that nobody cares about contributing anymore to society and everybody has to give things up. And that's how we achieve a better society. Do you guys understand what I mean? Like the most lazy racist, here, last way I'll explain it. Think about the people that are anti-immigration in Europe. The lazy racist people will say, but I don't like those people because they're brown and black and I don't want them in my country. And that's lazy and easy to defeat. And then the high effort version is, well, if you look at generally the best societies in the world with the highest levels of happiness, you'll find that they have a very homogeneous makeup. And if you want that same level of like cohesion in a society, people have to feel like their fellow neighbor is just like them. And that's the real reason that shouldn't be happening. So like there's still pseudo-intellectualism baked into it, but it's high effort stuff. And you still have to understand and come up with something. Do you guys get what I mean? Does that make sense? And then they'll like spit facts at you or whatever, or like stats or whatever. We have come town at home, come town at home. Stop. Which one's Adam Friedland? I've seen import more Africans under videos about wildfires in France. Huh?
To a different conclusion that there are some things that people should be deplatformed for. Not that they can't say it where they want to say it, but I think that it's a right of anybody.
Okay, top three things. What do you think?
There's a difference between being able to say that you're proud of your white heritage and also being just a flat out racist. I think that there's a difference between saying you're proud of your Christian heritage and the white culture from what you come from and Nazis, or that you adopt the Nazism as a legitimate ideology. I think that there's a difference between saying that you disagree with the United States policy as it relates to Israel and saying that the Holocaust didn't exist.
I was like, Mom, Dad, Hitler was awesome. Hitler was right. And the Holocaust didn't happen. And my parents...
What's wrong with being a coward? Nothing, but I wouldn't personally start fights I can't finish. Can you imagine punching someone in the face at a bar and then being like, whoa, 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 I don't even want to fight? It's like, then why the fuck did you just punch me? Oh, well, I just want to back out now. I changed my mind. I changed my mind. Then don't do that.
Parents were like, we cannot believe.
Those would be top three things in my mind. I know that you believe that some people took you out of context, and I do agree. Look, on both the right and the left, there are these gatekeepers, 100%. And look at me, the mainstream press.
Wait, is it actually your birthday? Happy birthday, Spencer. If it's not your birthday, I will explode you with my mind.
Destroyed me for 7 years without any real kind of reflection about what they were doing. I do think that, some of those things are legitimate reasons to say, we don't want you on our, on our commercial platform. Would you agree with that? I mean, you just said, for instance, people calling for like an armed revolution, like people calling for actual violence. You're opposed to.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm against violence.
Yeah.
And I do think those are one of the legitimate things that should be taken from the platform. There's a lot of the stuff on social media I don't agree with, but again, what started to happen is there was this like editorial censorship where certain ideas were banned. And it was such a broad brush and also totally opaque and ad hoc. You'd be on YouTube, like I was, for example, they banned me for life and didn't even give me a reason. Not a specific quote, not a specific infraction. And so you don't know what...
You know what's so crazy to me too is like, you can be such a racist piece of shit on YouTube like Lauren Southern, well, she was uploading her fucking white genocide videos to YouTube and none of them were getting taken down. Maybe she got demonetized, but that has to do with advertisers not wanting to advertise on a video about fucking white genocide. That's their decision to not want to do business with you on that front. So like, you know, I can't blame them for not wanting that. But you just have to not be explicit or as explicit as he is and he wouldn't have been banned. Like, I don't.
The rules are. You don't know what the process is. They just take you down. And especially now when everything is digital.
Also, I gotta say, like, for the group that says, like, white people made everything or whatever, then go make a better YouTube then. It's so annoying, like, the anti-woke people and, like, the right-wingers that are, like, every time they see any franchise that introduces minorities, they're like, well, go make your own, huh? Or if you want woke movies so bad, go make your own woke movies, huh? And then when they're on a platform that they break the rules on the platform, they're like, wow, this is literally an injustice against me personally. I can't believe you would do this. You guys are the inventors of everything, right? Just go invent better YouTube then. Got banned for, you guessed it, being white.
That's not just the social platforms, it's the other ones like Uber, Airbnb, whatever. It feels like you're being denied almost something like a civil.
Okay, who the fuck is using Airbnb in 2026? Just be real. No one is paying $300 for a cleaning fee just to get yelled at by the host and given a fucking chore list. Yeah, I need you to do the sheets. Make sure you fold the fitted sheet. Yeah, I need you to fold it. Okay? I know that's going to take you about an hour. I need you to do it. Make sure to mop. Oh, if you could scrub the toilet also. The shower is also clogged. It was clogged before you got there. If you could do that. And then, I really need you to, could you take the rug to the cleaners? It's really dirty. Yeah. Yeah, if you could do that for me as well. And I want to know that you didn't use any dishes or towels. Okay, and if I feel like you used any of the things that were in the unit, like the towels, I will be billing you another $500. All right. I also personally counted how many toilet paper pieces were there when I left the Airbnb. There were 373. So I'm going to count them afterwards, and I will be charging you 5 cents per sheet you used. Okay. Yeah. The lockbox is with the key is about 17 miles in the other direction. I need you to go pick it up. While you're there, could you get me my dry cleaning? It's in the same, they're kind of random, but it's in the same strip mall. So if you could do that as well. And yeah, you're pretty much good to go. Yeah, you're good to go. Oh, counting the toilet paper is a waste of time. I just do it by weight. You're so much smarter. Oh my God.
Right. The social platforms are the modern public square. Increasingly with...
How could I forget? Sorry. Last thing. Also, if you mess with any of my hidden cameras, I'm charging you extra for that. Yeah. Please do not touch any of the 17 hidden cameras I have in the Airbnb. Okay, thank you. Like, seriously, if anyone in here is still using, I don't know what it's like outside of the United States. Maybe it's way better outside of the United States. If you're still using Airbnb, if you even have the app installed in 2026, stop. Like, I'm telling you, any hotel or motel will be a 10 times better experience. I have never been charged some random ass fucking fee in a hotel ever. And like, straight up, I will admit, when I do leave hotels, I do leave a giant pile of towels because I don't like the idea of someone coming and cleaning it day in and day out. So I always put the sign, like, please, I don't want any help. And then usually, like, after like 2 days, I'm like, can I get more towels? Yeah, could I get like 4 more towels? Thank you. And then I take the towels in. So I do leave a giant pile of towels. And I'm like, Hope that's okay. And I've never been charged an extra fee, ever. So
Uber, Airbnb, the banking apps, you can't live your life without the tech platforms. And it felt like if you just simply had the wrong opinions or you were the wrong kind of person, you were being deprived of like a basic civil right or being able to participate in society. So
how many places do you think they got turned away from that were like, sorry, we don't allow you shooting pornos in our hotel? Yeah, no. You guys are we're not trying to shoot that. Ugh. Yeah, we've heard it all before. Yep. Yeah, just 3 dudes with 1 bed in a motel. For sure. And it's not a porno. What's the crew for? What's the lights for? What's the camera for? Okay, that's very funny. You can go down the street. There's a motel that doesn't care. No. Listen, we did it once and we were not interested in no more, okay?
You know, and I think maybe that's an area of collaboration where we recognize maybe it is a civil right to use the digital platforms, but here are the rules. Here's what you can say. Here's what you can't say.
But seriously, genuinely, where the fuck are they shooting?
Here's the process.
What is this set? But like, actually, like, what is this set?
Maybe there's a reconciliation mechanism, but I mean, the censorship was just out of control. I don't think anyone disagrees there's a reasonable.
I don't get it. Gay equals evil? No, nobody wants to clean up after a porn set. They could have been 3 women. Could have been 2 women and 2 men.
A limit, though.
Yeah, no, I guess what I'm saying is that I don't see that as a result of left-wing or right-wing ideology. I view that kind of level of deplatforming. Look, I was debanked. I was debanked before I was ever even charged with anything. I lost every bank account. It took me, 9 months once they, the Trump administration, said that they were starting an investigation into me to be able to actually get a bank account again. And I don't want to tell you the bank because tomorrow they may debank me again.
It's almost like it has nothing to do with your political affiliation. It has everything to do with whether or not you're violating the rules or if you are, let's say, ruffling too many feathers. If you don't bring enough business. I mean, it's the same thing with Twitch. People always, I feel like finally people have stopped a little bit with this, but people aren't getting preferential treatment because of their political ideologies. They're getting preferential treatment based on their view count. I know some streamers who have been perma-banned for like, you guys remember back in the hot tub meta? I've known people who got perma'd, like perma'd, for doing the exact same thing that a larger creator did that got like a day. It's just like.
But my point is that those people
they
are
actually built this
incredibly
set, and it's a reference to Hunter's motel meth smoking room. Excuse me, he wasn't smoking meth. He was smoking crack.
identifiable. I keep, like, I've been talking and going around and I say things like, I don't think we are nearly as divided as they're telling us we are. Because I do believe that there are an identifiable group of people that are responsible for an enormous amount of the discord and division because they make money off of it. I think that these social media companies that are controlled by, 3, 4, 5, individuals have made it clear that they only care about one thing. They only care about how much money they can produce for themselves and, the people that hold stocks in their company. Even to the degree where we know for certain that they're driving teenage girls to the highest levels of suicide by a factor, like exponential factors, directly related to the content that they're being pushed, and they won't do anything about it.
Right.
And so, to the same degree, I think they, a lot of what you call wokeness was maybe an illegitimate, but a financial decision based on a lot of these.
Corporate psyop, maybe.
Corporate psyop.
Thank you.
I mean, by the way, exactly. I
just wanted to back up real quick. So you talked about certain people going too far. About 2.5 months ago, I visited a whites-only community in Hardy, Arkansas. And I don't know why, I guess coming from like a more like left-wing place, I'm from Seattle, I kind of assumed there was like a united front on the right for some reason. So I'm out there, I'm chilling with these dudes. They're like sword fighting, having barbecues. Overall, it was a good time for them. I had a hard time connecting with them because I don't agree with them, but it's all good. I was having fun for a couple days. And then like right as I was there, I guess you had hit them up on X or something and said like, hey, I don't want to associate with you guys. What happened there?
Well, that was really more of a personal disagreement with the guy that founded it.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Did I just miss the sword fighting?
But I do think it's an interesting project, and it's interesting that that got so much pushback, this whites-only community, because you know what? If you go to a lot of these different neighborhoods in major cities, there are ethnic enclaves, and it's not like there's an explicit rule that you have to be a certain ethnicity, but we all know in Chicago and New York and LA, you got certain neighborhoods where it is 80, 90% one ethnicity.
Yeah.
And
Sorry, I need to let him finish his full point. Afro, thank you for the 5 gift subs.
I think there's a lot of white people that say we kind of want something similar. I don't think there's anything.
But the difference is white people aren't getting removed from these neighborhoods. And okay, sorry. Chinatown doesn't become Chinatown because the Chinese people that move in tell all the white people to leave or else. It's a neighborhood that's usually impoverished, and so the only people that are living there are a bunch of immigrants who will live in like a really shitty neighborhood with shitty amenities and a shitty landlord. And as more and more people move from the same, country, let's say.
The mullet rolls are gone, people.
Science as a candle in the dark. Thank you for the 20 gift subs. What the hell? Thank you. Will Wright, thank you for the 21 months. Soros, thank you. Or sorry, Pterosaurus, thank you for the 5 gift subs. If you're moving from like the Philippines, or you're moving from China and you're moving to the US, you're going to probably want to move somewhere. If you're taking, whatever you can fit in a suitcase and moving your life to another country, you're going to take anything that you're probably going to want to move somewhere where there are people that are similar to you, that understand your culture, that speak your language, that can help you. That's the immigrant story. So what happens is impoverished neighborhoods that have been redlined tend to form a larger ethnic group and a larger ethnic group and a larger ethnic group and a larger and larger and larger. And they create communities and they create neighborhoods that other people want to visit. Like, how do you see that and think that that's the same as, and white people want to get rid of all of the non-white people in the city? It's like, what the fuck are you what? Huh? Those enclaves like Chinatown, etc., were usually created because of racist policies like LOL racists just live in their own world. Should I pull up the video about like, there was I don't remember if it was Vice or Vox. I think it was about Chinatown in Manhattan is so goated. Cheap Cantonese food and it's so good. I think it was this one that we saw.
Just next to the expanding entrance arrived to the. This is an entrance to Chinatown in London. Its features might look familiar. An elaborate gate, colorful detailing, and a pagoda style.
This is such a good video. We're watching the whole thing and you guys are going to sign up for it and you're going to like it.
Roof. Features that help make up the iconic look of Chinatown, no matter what city you're in, from DC to Manila to Melbourne.
Also, just think about it logically for 1 second. The fucking right-wingers that love to talk about common sense using no common sense. Think about it with some common sense really fast. If you were an American and you're moving to a different country, wouldn't you want to move to a city that has other Americans? If you're picking up your bags and you're leaving and you're taking your cat and your partner and nothing else, wouldn't you want to move somewhere that there's like literally anyone that can help you? Well, no. Okay, maybe American is wrong. Somewhere that's English speaking friendly. Maybe not Americans. Maybe not Americans. You wouldn't want to move somewhere where nobody speaks English if you don't speak the other language. You're probably going to want to move somewhere where people can help you if you only speak English. Because if you move somewhere rural and, you move to like a rural town in China, what are you going to do, man? I guess like Google Translate is a little bit better nowadays. But like, it helps if you move somewhere that is welcome to foreigners and welcome to immigrants that can help you and build community there. Also, it's a different prospect if you're not coming from an imperialist nation as well. I want to move somewhere I'm surrounded by Euroid Asmonfold viewers. Yeah. If you move somewhere else and you become a minority group there, you're going to want a support network of other people similar to yourself. Exactly.
There's a reason that all these Chinatowns look so similar. But it's not because they're what real Chinese cities once looked like.
The Chinese are well aware of what their architecture were like. They knew that
You have pretty feet. Clearly you have not seen my feet, okay? Them bitches are fat and hobbit-like. Wrong. Incorrect. Fake fan.
this is not representing their real culture. This is a strategy they used to really protect their land.
That story actually starts in the US, here in San Francisco, where a brutally targeted community kept their culture alive by inventing a new one.
Not quite Chinese, but on the other hand, not quite American.
In the mid-1800s, a wave of Chinese immigrants arrived to the US, many through the port of San Francisco, seeking economic opportunity. They found work in industries from gold mining to the Transcontinental Railroad.
Also, I'm going to say something crazy. And this is like, they hated her for she spoke the truth. This is a hard to swallow pill. This is a truth nuke that some of you are not ready for. All right? As an American, if you moved out of the United States to like a different country, now there are exceptions, but if you moved out from the United States to a different country, you'd actually be pretty saddened by how little friendliness there is. Like, Americans are weirdly very friendly relative to other countries and other people. And you can go and watch like vlogs from Americans who have gone to other nations and moved their lives to other nations, and every single one of them talks about it. Even if like you can watch videos where people say, you know, I thought I was pretty introverted and that like I didn't really like people that much, but it was kind of a culture shock, like how much different the culture is. No, where are you going in the world? Truth nuke denied. Wrong. World Cup showed foreigners how friendly we are. Yes. Source, I live in France as an American, and whenever I hear American accents, I stop on the street just to listen because I kind of miss it. I think that's just super anecdotal. People are mostly the same all over the world. What? I totally disagree. No, you're incorrect. What? Where have you been that you would say this? Tell me, chatter. Where have you gone? What countries have you visited that you would say this? I've always thought Americans are cutthroat and rude compared to most of the world. No. Relative to the rest of the world, guys, if you've spoken to like, have you guys not had like European pen pals? Have you guys not had like European friends that you talk to in Discord or Skype or, well, Skype doesn't exist anymore, TeamSpeak or whatever? Dude, Europeans are fucking mean. Oh my God. They're so mean. They just say shit. They just like say shit that like an American would never say. And that's just like, that's fine. That's just normal. That's just fine. Like, I don't mind it. I think it's fun. I think it's funny. When I lived in Freetown, Sierra Leone, they were the nicest people I've ever met anywhere. Everywhere I went, but on the way we had to stop in London and Belgium, and oh my God, they were all such assholes. Germans, low-key, culturally autistic, not gonna lie. Yeah, here in Scandinavia, if you talk to someone you sit next to on the train/bus, you're considered very weird by everybody else nearby. Guys, like, again, let me tell you, I will say, I'm not going to speak for all Arab culture, but Moroccans are also really friendly in general. Like, people are just down to talk. But a lot of countries are not like that. People are not just down to talk. And I have to tell you guys this. Let me say this. I'm going to drop another truth nuke. All right? I used to think that I was very introverted. And I used to think that, like, I didn't like having, like, being spoken to. And moving out of New York, I miss random conversations strangers would have with me, like on the train or on the bus or whatever. Like, it was actually kind of like a wholesome experience. It actually makes your day better. It does. Sometimes people are annoying, but the cool thing about New York is you can tell someone to fuck off. But, like, people will just randomly, like, talk to you. As long as you're not making anyone wait, people, like, New Yorkers are very friendly. People think New Yorkers are really mean, but it's just, like, they don't like it when you make them wait. That's the thing that pisses New Yorkers off, which is very reasonable, and I don't get why nobody else understands this. Like, if you're in a line and I almost lost my mind yesterday, guys. I was waiting in a line, and this guy's, like, talking to the people in front of us, in front of my group, and he's just talking to them for, like, a full 10 minutes about some stupid shit, and I'm like, can I just get my stupid fucking lanyard, please? Hello? Do you guys not see? I was like, I'm not gonna lose it. 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 I'm not gonna lose my mind. So that's the only time. That's the only time. All right. So yeah, when you're waiting in a line and you start talking to like, you didn't think about what you were gonna order, and you're like, and there's 10 people behind you, and you're like, well, what do you suggest? I think the barista should be very mean to you. I think the barista should be, like, should splash some hot coffee in your face for being an asshole to everyone behind you. But in moments, I feel like, look at how cute Wormy's being. Oh my God. In moments where no one's waiting, so if you're, like, just on the train station and someone just starts talking to you and they're like, dude, blah, blah, dude, blah, blah, blah. No one's waiting, so it's just chill. You can just talk. And everyone's super friendly. Like, you got time, I got time. And also, if you don't want to talk, you can just be like, sorry, man, I'm just going to take a nap. And you can put on your headset or your earbuds or whatever, just close your eyes. And people will respect it. So it's just like, I don't know, like, I miss that. I do. I used to, like, not like it at all. And moving out, I was like, damn, that was nice. I actually really missed that. I missed that experience. After a few months in cafe, I put my psychology degree on shelf and nowadays never work with people or in service. What? I don't know what that means. I'm from California. My whole family would tell me how awful people are in New York City. And then I went there and I hung out and ate, like, a peach with a random Chinese dude, and a barista gave me a free hot chocolate for no reason. No, people in New York are nice as long as you don't make them wait for anything. If you're just making the process longer for no fucking reason, they'll fucking kill you on the street and everyone will cheer. Okay? But outside of that, people are so chill. People are so nice. Which I think is a very reasonable metric. So that's all I'm going to say. My one truth nuke is, my singular truth nuke is, I think most Americans would actually, the culture shock you would experience going to another country, not all other countries, but there's a lot of other countries where they're just like, people aren't as friendly as Americans are. Like, general friendliness. And when I talk about general friendliness, I mean, like, the fact that it's like the social norm that if you see someone behind you with one item in a line, you just tell them to, like, go ahead in front of you, and you're like, oh, that's so dope. That pin on your backpack, is it like blah, blah? Dude, that's so cool. You know, blah, 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 this and this and this. And you can just talk to people. So I disagree with this framing of, like, I just disagree. I think it's like I think one of the very few things about America that's nice are a lot of the people. I think it's also the thing that makes America suck is the people. But I also think that there are a lot of great Americans. This is my humble perspective. Americans are nice, not the same as kind. I disagree. I think that there are a lot of Americans that are genuinely nice. Since self-checkout exists, I don't let people cut in line. Okay, freak, weirdo, crazy person, psycho. Let me guess, you like to skin puppies in your free time? Okay. Strange. Common one I've heard is people think it's weird how we smile at each other when we walk past. Yeah. Compared to Western EU, Americans are way nicer and kinder, etc. Dude, I've like, can I say something else as well? Has anyone ever waved at someone because you thought that was the person that you were that was the person that you were meeting with, or it was someone you thought you knew? And then they wave back anyways, and then you realize it's not them. And they're like, hey, how's it going? That's like, I feel like that's a very American experience. Just like, I don't know that person, but they're waving at me, so I guess I'll just wave back. Hi. Like, all right. Sure, why not? And then you realize, oh my God, sorry, wrong person. These are all Canadian experiences too. Yes. Dude, other countries don't be like that, man. You get like a glare and a turnaround, and then it's like, I'm sorry. Sorry. Geez, sorry for getting something wrong. Do you want me to explode? Is it not bad enough that I feel bad? Sorry. But yeah. So I just wanted to explain that. I'm just saying, I think that like a lot of people being like, I would never be homesick. I understand why you feel that way, because a lot of America sucks. However, there are a lot of things that are great about a lot of the people here. All right.
To factories that exploited them for cheap labor. Then, when an economic depression arrived in the 1870s, they were blamed for taking jobs away from white people. The idea spread that Chinese people were a threat, a yellow peril. It showed up in racist cartoons, political rhetoric, and eventually into laws. In 1882, Congress passed the Chinese Exclusion Act, which explicitly banned Chinese laborers from immigrating to the U.S. It also labeled any Chinese immigrant already in the U.S. a permanent alien, stripping them of a path to citizenship and of basic rights.
Chinese couldn't buy property, couldn't form corporations. We couldn't even testify in court competently.
That anti-Asian sentiment also led to a surge of violence against Chinese Americans.
I tried to get a sense of just how widespread this kind of violence was during this period, and just a quick search for newspaper reports led me to a mass lynching of 18 Chinese American men in Los Angeles, a massacre of 28 Chinese miners in Wyoming, white mobs forcing an entire Chinese settlement out of Eureka, California. Towns across the country did the same exact thing. And in California alone, there are records of over 200 incidents like this. Together, it paints a picture of a period of expulsion and mass murder. Many trying to escape this violence headed to San Francisco, the city with the largest Chinese American population in the US at the time. But even within San Francisco, there was a constant threat to safety and restrictions on where Chinese people could rent property. So much of its Chinese American population found a place of refuge here, an area that came to be known as Chinatown. As Chinatown became more established, the community had its own thriving economy too. Merchants conducted key import and export trade with China, and there were over 1,000 shops and businesses. But you might notice that during this period, it didn't actually look like the Chinatown you might imagine today.
San Francisco Chinatown look nothing Oriental or nothing Chinese, just a standard Western architecture, classical architectural motifs. The Chinese kind of expression were mostly expressed through the decorations.
Many outsiders labeled the area as mysterious and forbidden.
Just saying the importance of imports and exports. And I do think we should broaden this conversation to Singapore.
But it was also located just next to the expanding central business district. And as San Francisco grew, urban planners started to see Chinatown as prime real estate. They believed that if they could get rid of Chinatown and make it suitable to Caucasian merchants, they could increase the value of the real estate 400 to 500%. In newspapers from around the same time, exaggerated reports gave Chinatown a reputation as filthy.
Take this 1885 map. It shows one way to look at San Francisco's Chinatown, color-coded to show gambling dens, opium dens, and prostitution. If you take a closer look, you can see it was prepared by a group of city representatives called the Special Committee of the Board of Supervisors. The same committee that came out with this report on Chinatown, where they're pretty clear about their goal: to expose the general evil qualities which the race possesses. By 1906, proposals were drawn up that would move Chinatown miles away from the center of the city. An option was secured for a new location, and everything pointed to ultimate success. And that was almost the end of the story.
On the morning of April 18th, 1906, an earthquake ripped through San Francisco.
As my grandmother described it for me on April 18th, when the great earthquake occurred, she and the rest of her family who were living down here were literally shaken out of their beds.
The earthquake was devastating and caused fires that raged for days. Thousands of people died. Half of the city became homeless, and 30,000 buildings were destroyed. In Chinatown, nearly everything was in ruins.
Chinatown in San Francisco were mainly wooden structures, so most of the buildings were burned down.
In the end, it's hard to say how many Chinese Americans lost their lives from the earthquake, because the residents of Chinatown weren't even included in the city's death toll.
But to the city, what happened to the Chinese community wasn't a tragedy. It was an opportunity to move Chinatown away from the city center like they'd hoped to do before. One reporter wrote that the only gratifying feature of the San Francisco horror is the fact that Chinatown has been destroyed. That pestilential community is no more. Because of exclusionary laws, Chinese immigrants were mostly renters with no legal rights to properties.
But the community did have one piece of leverage. The city didn't actually want to lose them completely.
In May 1906, this article ran, describing how San Francisco now feared that the Chinese may abandon the city. That's because business in Chinatown was very good for San Francisco and for Chinese-American trade relations. Import duties paid by the merchants for goods from China were a huge addition to city revenue.
Business was so good that several other cities along the West Coast, like Seattle and LA, had made offers to San Francisco's Chinese population to relocate.
This leverage provided an opening for the residents of Chinatown to organize.
Imports and exports, guys. It's about caring about commerce.
The businessmen, Look Tin Eli, and other Chinese-American merchants came up with a new plan. Their goal was to keep Chinatown exactly where it was by transforming it, shedding its reputation as a public nuisance, and making it a tourist attraction. 6 weeks after the earthquake, the city finally gave in and backed off the Chinatown relocation plan. The Chinese businessmen hired white architects to reimagine an exoticized theme park version of Chinatown.
Those architects, they know nothing about Chinese architecture. So these architects really just in their design rebuilt Chinatown in the way that white architects, what they perceive as Chinese architecture and Chinese culture.
The new buildings had curved eaves, detailed facades, and colorful tiled roofs. One motif they used a lot were Chinese pagodas, like the ones you see here on the top of the Sing Chong and Sing Fat buildings, two of the first to be rebuilt after the earthquake.
Chinese pagodas in China, typically they were religious structures. It's a place of worship. None of the meaning were translated to North America or to San Francisco.
Here at each corner, the ornamentation serves no real structural purpose. It's simply that, ornamentation. But it's to communicate to the viewer that Chinatown was a theme park worthy of visitation.
It didn't look like China, but it didn't have to. The point was to make Chinatown a built-in feature of the city and a hub of not just trade, but tourism. And it worked.
This really set the template, the new economic model, not only for San Francisco Chinatown, but for Chinese settlements across North America.
This template for Chinatown would formalize a place for Chinese Americans in cities across the US. And it also marked the beginning of a new kind of Chinese culture, one that's uniquely Chinese and American.
I brought this video up to show this idea of like, well, what's so different about this, about things, cities like Chinatown or neighborhoods that are predominantly one particular group or like ethnic group or immigrant group, and like white people wanting an all white town where we don't allow anyone else. It's like, where to start? How about all of it? What if I just said all of it? What if I just said that really fast? Yeah. It's almost like immigrants that have moved into communities, the communities that they've moved into have been impoverished, redlined, and they made a community despite that. Isn't that crazy? Whoa. Why is there a bed behind them, dude? I'm asking the same thing. It's sad that because of the Pegasus guy, less people are doing business with Singapore. Very sad the harm being done to trade right now. I know, the trade and the commerce, and you guys know how much I care about trade and commerce. You guys know how much. Okay, guys. So. I'm willing. I'm down. No, I'm willing. I'm down to clock in some long hours today. All right. In this current drought. I'm down. But trade offer. Mommy. She's upset because I'm moving. But Denim's clocking in hours at the humiliation factory. First of all, I have to order food because I'm starving. But two, why is she making this face? What is she looking at? We hit the sub goal. And we stay for another hour. Oh God, I'm doing the 6-7. I don't know. I think it's a pretty good trade offer. I don't know.
They should be kissing Denims' feet.
The cat is reading chat for sure. Well, yeah, she was upset. She's like, you guys are going to be the reason why. Wait, I think she actually might be reading chat. And I'm not joking. She's like, you guys are going to be the reason why she fucking moves me. You guys wouldn't do that to her, right? You would force me to stay at my desk for another hour. Right? John Brown, thank you for the 5 gift subs. Sooty Tootie, thank you so much for the prime. Thank you. Cat is spoiled. I don't know that she's ever sat on me this long. Usually, I try to move so that she gets annoyed and leaves, but unfortunately, all I've done is built up her tolerance for being annoyed. So now she's just willing to deal with more before she leaves. Yeah. Cubby Wolf, thank you so much for the 3 months. Tiff, thank you so much for the prime. Solon, thank you so much for the tier 1. Anon, thank you for the gift 10 gift subs. Thank you. Cubby, thank you for the prime. Buckfin, thank you for the tier 1. Guys, I don't mean to alarm you guys, but we're only like 30 subs away. And then I'm locked in. And then I'm locking in my answer. And then Wormy gets to sit on me for another hour. And then we're stuck here. Denims, your Eurobeach was really good. Thanks. Thank you. Wormy is on an iron lung. Your subs power her life. I feel bad. There was a chatter the other day that said, I know you have 2 cats. There's Wormy/Mayor Cat. And who's the other one? Question mark. And it's like, those are the 2. Those are the 2. Sandra, thank you for the 13 months. Vaughn Ripper, thank you for the 12 months. Thank you guys. Oh, what's wrong? Sorry, did I move too much? And it upset you? And it bothered you? Okay, I won't move anymore. Sorry. 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 Okay, I said thanks. Oh my god. Mass, thank you so much for the 25 gift subs. Wait, what the hell? Wait. Thank you. 1 gift sub equals 1 more shipping container moving through the beautiful Malacca Strait. Yep, correct. All right, well, we're in here. But you guys are going to have to be just 2 seconds of patient with me so I can order some soup. Why'd you name your cat Worm? You should name it something nice, like my cat, Bacteria. Oh my god, thank you for the gift sub. Guys, see, look, I woke up really sick, but I'm feeling better. This happened yesterday. I woke up feeling really bad, and then by the end of the day, I actually felt pretty decent. Oh my god, wait, what the hell? Thanks, guys. Wait. Loaf Bats, thank you for the 10 gift subs. Hammond Fist, thank you for the 20. What the? Thanks, guys. Thank you so much. All right. Before we get back to this video, I just wanted to show you guys. Sorry, this is the last thing I'm going to say about this. This is the last point I'm going to harp on. First of all, this is a crazy profile picture. Photoshopping Mamdani's face onto Mao is insane. Holy shit. That's dope. Second, consider the 25 gift subs a welcome token from the people of Singapore for future commerce. Okay, Wormy said she can't believe anyone would donate to that cause while M. Pregasus is still out there. He's still out there. All right. And Singapore has done nothing. But also, I actually pulled up your message because I wanted to talk about one last thing. Here in Singapore, we don't even greet our neighbors. It's miserable. I found what I was trying to show you guys, okay? I found it.
Nick,
okay, let's back up. If you want to talk about the histories of, New York and Chicago, I feel like that was also a conscious decision that was made after the Civil Rights Act.
Blacks only. It's in Cabrini Green, where Mayor Daley made everybody that was black live in the Cabrini Green. I mean, it's not. That wasn't by choice. It's not by choice that these.
Last thing. Sorry, this is actually a really wholesome quote. This is actually a really wholesome quote. I think it's a Buddhist story that summarizes when you're going to a new town to escape mean people, you're just going to find other mean people, and it's the opposite for kind people. So true.
The enclaves are 80 or 90%, whatever that ethnicity is. It's because that's the only place in which they had an opportunity to live unbothered, or where they were told that they had to live because of the historical fact that they could not move into other neighborhoods. You could not move into parts of South Chicago without...
Wait, that's so dope. I actually was talking about this already, but I was talking about it with regard to not necessarily black communities, because I thought that that was obvious that black communities have been redlined, but more so with immigrant communities.
Out, you know, being stoned.
Right.
Literally, right?
Yeah,
and so, like so it's not as if those ethnic enclaves are there by choice. You know, and so that
also ethnic enclaves do exist for like specific variations of different Europeans. Like, you know, there is like places that are chocolate, like South Philly's full of Italians.
There's,
you know, it's
Little Italy and there's Little Korea.
So I think the issue, what I always like, what confused me the most about the whites only community is like, there's just so many different kinds of white people in America. You know, so like to establish a unified white.
It's also like white. There are already so many basically exclusive, like just go to Utah. Hello?
Culture with a place so diverse and full of like different regional flavors just kind of felt confusing.
When do they fuck Nick? Oh, I don't know.
To me, because that could mean a different thing depending on what part of the country or what European enclave you originated from. Like, we're Irish people from the Philly area. Can you compare that to like, you know, surfers in San Diego or even like, you know, Italian Americans in Staten Island? I don't know. Everything just feels.
That's also another good point, which is talking about all white people like they're exactly the same is like pretty fucking stupid.
So different. So when I got there, I was trying to identify what they meant by white culture. It wasn't really based on shared like cultural practices, but more the exclusion of people.
Oh, the Nick Fuentes train is after. It's on the Patreon. Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
Who weren't white. So they weren't like stoked on being European necessarily. They were more just like, oh, we're here because those people aren't here. So it just kind of felt more negative than constructive.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not really involved with that project in particular, but I think that, look, I mean, you talk about the anger that's out there and the frustration, and I think part of the frustration, let's be honest, is that white people do feel like we are being boxed out in major cities in the country, and it feels like, look, there's a little Haiti, and there's various ethnic enclaves where you...
But no one's being boxed out of those neighborhoods. Like, it's not like if you tried to live in Chinatown, you would be denied. It's just that people aren't going to go move in those cities and move in those districts and in those neighborhoods and in those zip codes. Does he think that, like, the landlords aren't going to rent out to you? Like, I just don't understand what the fuck he's just inventing this.
Get that local culture, and they do their, you know, cultural festivals and that sort of thing. And white people feel like they're being pushed out, and they want a space where...
They want a space. What about, I don't know, every single major holiday?
Things are familiar.
Do you feel the same way about the Italian festival that happens in every city?
Well, here's a good example. So,
or St. Patrick's Day?
Well, you know, there's no Irish neighborhood in Chicago. Little
sure
Italy.
There is.
I mean, there's some remnant in Bridgeport.
Yeah.
And,
it's important to note that, like, and I'm not trying to get into like a shouting match here, but like, you know, as a family who did, coming from a family who did leave Philadelphia in the 60s because of black migration from the South after the Civil War.
But also, no one is preventing Italians from, like in 2026, from having an Italian community and petitioning for an Italian parade and I don't know, opening a bunch of Italian cities nearby. Like, what the fuck? No one is there this big cabal that I don't know about that's like oppressing Romanians in the United States that want to build little Romania? Like, I don't know what the fuck is he talking about?
Rights Act was passed, there was a sort of like mass flight of white people into the suburbs, and that kind of led to a homogenization of different cultures because they rushed so fast to build these like identical strip mall suburbs that it was very hard to maintain cultural bonds that made different European and white neighborhoods unique around like the 1950s and before. So I feel like the mass suburbanization is also a big factor that led to those like cultural bonds breaking.
Yeah, but why did that happen? I mean, a lot of the suburbanization is because of the race riots in the 1960s. People moved out because of the violence. You know, my grandfather was in the National Guard in Chicago when, after MLK got assassinated, the whole West Side burned to the ground. Yeah. And people didn't want to be around that anymore.
Why were there riots?
MLK Jr. was assassinated.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so does that justify burning down the city?
No, I didn't say it
never recovered?
justifies it, but it sure justifies an enormous amount of the anger, the same kind of anger that you feel about being left out, the same kind of anger that you're expressing right now about the idea that you're culturally irrelevant, that you don't have a place in society. Imagine if you were a 26-year-old black man in 1968 and saw your hero be assassinated. And
I saw Trump get shot in the ear, and
did he?
And I saw Charlie Kirk get shot, and I didn't see any cities get burned down. It's funny how that works.
I think it's a very, very, very different thing. I think
How
it's
is that different? Charlie Kirk
different.
got shot in the neck.
Yeah.
And liberals celebrated all over social media by Tyler Robbins.
Famously, no one made any jokes about George Floyd dying. Right, guys? Also, since when was Charlie Kirk his hero? Hello?
Yeah. Who is what?
Who is some liberal guy.
He is?
They literally built there's a street name with Charlie Kirk's name on it. They're building statues. Like, what the fuck is this guy talking? All right.
Mm-hmm.
But
he's got a transgender boyfriend.
Does that make him liberal? Because he's transgender? Because he's gay?
So. Well, because he's got a transgender boyfriend, yeah, I think so.
It makes him liberal?
I think he was liberal, yeah.
Okay. Well, he didn't come from a liberal family. He didn't come from a liberal enclave. He didn't come from a liberal background. He's not a minority. He was a Mormon, correct? Mm-hmm. And grew up in a Mormon household. And he went to a largely Mormon college. Mm-hmm. And he ended up committing an act of violence, according to the FBI and the authorities in Utah that charged him. How does that in any way compare to what we're talking about? I'm not justifying the violence that occurred after the death of Martin Luther King, but you're saying that that person, this Tyler, whoever his name is was as disenfranchised as the African-American community in 1968 in inner cities?
Well, the question is who we want to live around.
I'm not living around blacks. Sorry. I want white kids, and I don't want my white kids bringing home black people to marry.
And in the 1960s, the West Side burns down. We don't want to live around that. We don't want to live around a city that's burning to the ground.
That's not when the white flight happened.
It is. It was a big response to it, absolutely.
100% not.
Absolutely.
You make these historical connections that don't exist. Part of it was potentially, but before that, what Mayor Daley did is made Chicago the most segregated city in the entire United States, other than Boston. When you would come from the South to Chicago, African Americans from the South, blacks in the South coming to Chicago would say that Chicago was twice the level of segregation and racism that occurred in the South. And so it wasn't as if you're coming into a situation in which you're feeling in any way enfranchised by the community and the situation that you're in. And as many people left simply because of the idea that someone was black moving into their neighborhood as the violence that occurred after the assassination of Martin Luther King. So the numbers actually, pre-1968, when King was shot, you had more people leave the city because of the desegregation, because of the 1964 Civil Rights Act, than you did after the riots.
I think that's...
Okay, the only thing I will say so far about this is that thank God that, like, actually Hunter Biden is pushing back at all. However, I just don't understand why bring Nick Fuentes on? He's not like good faith going to argue anything that would benefit anyone. Like, I just don't understand why.
It's just not true. I think that the race riots were a huge driver of white flight to the suburbs. I think it's just dishonest to say that's not the case.
Okay, so what's your point about all of this?
Well, we're talking about where people want to live.
Yeah, I know. So like what in 2026?
Well, how about in 2020 when Minneapolis burned to the ground? Or how about in the summer of 2020 in Chicago?
Minneapolis didn't burn to the ground.
It didn't?
No. I mean, there were
BLM didn't destroy dozens of structures?
If you guys need a physical witness to what happened in Minneapolis, there were many structures that burned to the ground. Not the city, but there was, I would say, between 40 to 50 buildings off of Lake Street in the south side that did burn to the ground. But most of the city was intact, but it was quite an intense situation.
People don't want to live around that. People don't want to live around that. You know, in Chicago, it rolled on into the summer, and it wasn't, you know, let's say, the anger of the oppressed and the disenfranchised.
So who's
They
at
were
fault?
looting. They were looting and
Who's
carjacking.
they?
The criminals.
Are you saying that the problem with the 26-year-old white kid living in suburbia outside of Chicago and his feeling of being disenfranchised is because there was looting and rioting in Minneapolis by black people, and it's black people that are doing it?
Yeah. I mean, the problem with
Are you
Austin
really?
Metcalf was that he got stabbed in the neck at a track meet. And the problem with our city in Chicago is that the Magnificent Mile is gone. Water Tower Place is gone because of all the crime.
Nick, and the time of an entire generation of African Americans is that they've been getting killed by cops for decades.
That's
What are
just
you
not
talking
true.
about, Nick?
Oh, okay.
Because they commit crime. And listen, it's not.
The crime in question, driving while black.
Nick,
what?
That's not true. It's not true. Are you saying that police brutality as it relates and racism in the police force, in the way in which police treat African Americans? Nick, you could grow up here like I did between Wilmington and Philadelphia. And if you were a black dentist and you lived in Wilmington and you commuted to Philadelphia, the chances of you being pulled over by a state trooper, either Delaware or in Pennsylvania, are about 50 times that would be if
Yo, wait a minute, Hunter? Wait. He's actually kind of cooking.
If it was a white guy. 50 times. And
We're
so what
talking
you're
about-
trying to tell me is that the problem in America right now is that a 26-year-old white kid who lives in suburban
Yo, give this guy some fucking crack. Wait a minute. He knows what he's fucking cooking.
Chicago doesn't feel like he has access because he's been canceled or he's been woke, and the problem is black people.
I didn't say the problem's black people.
Well, you just did, Nick. You just
I said the problem is crime, and we know who's doing the crime in Chicago. The carjackings, shootings, teen takeovers. We know why there's no business on the Mag Mile anymore, and it's because they steal cars, they drive them through windows. And listen, black people are some of the biggest victims of the black crime. But we're not allowed to talk about it because of the racial
What do you mean
dimension.
you're not allowed to talk?
What is it? Sorry. Anyone else get so irritated sometimes you have to channel the I? Or is that just me? How can you say we're not allowed to talk about it when that's 90% of what Fox News airs about black communities and you're talking about it? What the fuck are we doing here? Guy going on tour. I'm just so canceled is the thing. I'm just so canceled right now. Anyways, I just booked out my my tour for the United States, but I just need you guys all to know I'm just so canceled.
We're talking about it right here. You have a platform in
It's
which
called Transforming as the Queen of Fair Use. Bitch, hoe, dumbass.
millions of people listen to you, Nick. Millions.
Well, after
Denims, keep pausing the video.
Elon had to buy Twitter and open it up. It wasn't like that before. I was banned from everything for many years. So no, you weren't allowed it. You're right. We can talk about it now, but that's only because the good guys
Nick.
won.
Hey, what's up, guys? There's something I forgot.
You went from being banned on Twitter to being on YouTube to creating
I'm
an
not on
entire show.
YouTube.
I know you're not, but now you have Kick and now you have all of these other things. You have an enormous platform. I want to find common ground of how much.
Listen, guys, you guys already know this. I don't watch Channel 5. Not going to get into it. All right. But I just wanted to see a little bit of this shit show and take a little peek. Because it's just like so beyond the pale to bring Nick Fuentes on. It's like, maybe if I watch a little, I can understand the point. And so much of it is just like pathetic. It's just so pathetic.
Much of a shithead Donald Trump is. We can get there. Okay. What I don't understand is how you didn't recognize that in 2016, and how you didn't recognize that in 2020, and how
Denims, make this guy super gay and horny.
you didn't recognize that in 2024 because Donald Trump
I did in
hasn't.
24.
Because Donald Trump hasn't changed. Donald Trump hasn't changed at all. Donald Trump has been Donald Trump since he came out of the womb of a woman that was an immigrant to this country. And so what I want to know, though, is that I don't know how we get past this idea that the biggest problem that you have with your personal situation and how you extrapolate that to the situation of other white kids that are your age, that feel disenfranchised, that feel left out, that feel they don't have a shot at the American dream, is because of black and brown people, because of Mexicans, because of Venezuelans, because of Haitians, it's always other, Nick, with you. It seems to me. And I've listened to
Yeah, fuck him for letting people have a discussion. Me when talking about a Nazi. People. Are you also one of those people? Just wanted to know. Just wanted to know. Feel free to answer if you're feeling up for it.
a lot of the stuff. It's always them.
I just don't really think that, like, Nazis are people. Sorry. If you disagree, I don't think this will be, like, a great community for you to be in.
We need to build a wall. Where's the wall, Nick? He never built the
Can
wall.
you bring me on screen? I want extra attention, too. Yeah. Yeah, why not?
Why'd you vote for him in 2020? Why'd you vote for him in 2024?
I didn't vote for him in 24.
Okay, well, okay. My point being is that whenever you identify your problem as being something that is other, that you can point to, that's a minority, that is a group of people, that's the Jews, I mean, before, remember, all of us, you know, it was the Irish Catholics who were all committing the crime, who weren't allowed into bars, who weren't allowed into, because you know why? Because they were dirty, poor, non-Europeans. They were Irish. Every time it's wrong. Every time history has proven that to be wrong in the United States of America. Every time. Inclusion has been our greatest strength. Diversity has been our greatest strength. And I hear you talk about this idea of white culture. What fucking
livers?
White culture you talking about, man? What
Shakespeare, Dante.
Personally, I would say that, like, well, I don't want to get too deep into it, but whatever.
Mozart. We're in Philadelphia, the founding fathers.
Yeah.
That's your white culture.
How about the Count of Monte Cristo? Would you consider that part of our white culture?
Sure.
Okay. Well, it was written by a black man in France.
Yes.
Diversity is our greatest strength is so funny when, like, this country was built on exploiting anyone who wasn't white or wasn't classified as white at the time of the legislation that was discriminating those people, like Italians or like Irish people or like any other group. So white was basically back then, are you English? Yeah. Yep. Exploiting diversity has been the US's greatest strength. All right, let's go back. Sorry.
Philadelphia, the founding fathers.
Yeah.
That's your white culture.
How about the Count of Monte Cristo? Would you consider that part of our white culture?
Sure.
Okay. Well, it was written by a black man in France in the 1700s.
In a milieu of European civilization.
So what?
Because you're picking out one
Nick.
example. It really is.
But you literally said you don't want to live around any black people. So it's not about culture. It's not about what culture you're inundated with. Clearly, there seems to be some other aspects there.
Just giving up one example.
It really is.
Nick.
Listen.
Nick, I'm not. I really am not.
Hey, guys, I think we're reaching what's called a rock in a hard place. Let's talk about Israel.
Well, let me respond to this because you're telling me I'm always blaming the other.
No, Nick, for real. Here's the thing, is that the way that you talk and throw out these historical facts, which, by the way, aren't fucking facts. Okay?
Which ones aren't facts?
Well, as it relates to the Civil Rights Movement in 1968, and the reason why we're out in the problem that we're in is because the Civil Rights Act passed in 1964. Dr. Martin Luther King was killed and shot by a white racist, white supremacist in 1968 on a balcony of a motel. That's the root of our trouble, because an entire people that have been disenfranchised and enslaved for over 400 years.
We're sick of hearing about that, though. It's 2026.
You may be sick of hearing about it, but you know what? They aren't. And I'll tell you what, Nick, and here's the other thing.
Get over it. It's America.
Okay, but Nick, you can say stuff like that, okay, without having to say it like that. And look, this is not how.
It's just not lost on me that, like, Black people are just supposed to get over every single injustice because it happened, quote, so long ago. And like the most minor inconvenience to any racist white person ever is like the most unforgivable sin that everyone must atone for. Like the way that they talk about Charlie Kirk, it's like, the fuck do you want me to do about it? Like, I didn't do that. Oh, well, you're engaging in violent speech. It's like, what the fuck are you talking? Is the violent speech in the room with us right now? What the fuck are you talking about? We need to do something about this. Gun control? We've been arguing for gun control the whole time. That's what we've been arguing. No, we don't want that. Okay, better mental health. I don't know. How about like universal health care so people can go get a therapist or a psychiatrist if they need one? No, I don't want to do that either. Well, then what the fuck do you want me to do about it, man? You don't like my options that would fix your problem, but you want to blame our side. Sounds like you just want to be mad. What the fuck are you talking about?
How it started, though.
This is a legitimate argument, but it's Nick.
Guys, Nick, Hunter, what do you guys make of the concept of community collapse? Have you guys heard of this?
No.
So it's got nothing to do with race, got nothing to do with money, but this is kind of a crazy stat. So in 2019, before COVID, 76% of Americans said they were a part of an in-person community that gave them some kind of value. After COVID, and this year, it was 19%. So I think that politics and race aside, one of the biggest issues is the collapse of social bonds, third spaces, communities, in-person engagement, which comes with loneliness, more time online, and more division. I understand. I feel like you guys aren't going to agree. I want to talk about what you guys think can be done on an individual and community level to stop people from hating each other and to create more belonging and engagement.
Well, number one, I think this. Okay, for real.
Podcasting.
No, not podcasting, this discussion. For me to be able to sit down with someone who I so vehemently disagree with and find some kind of common ground.
But I mean, guy at home who's watching this on his phone just thinking, I wish I could go outside, but I don't know anyone.
Okay, well, here's what I'm talking about. It's all about connection. It is all about actually connecting with people. And I'm not talking about digitally connecting with people anonymously online. I'm talking about actually going out and connecting with people. And I don't have an answer to that. I don't, any of us. We're in an, look, man, I just think that you
hate your politics, but you're gorgeous. Don't worry, that's how everyone starts. Just a matter of time.
You are targeting the wrong problem, Nick. I think that our biggest problem right now...
Also, like, straight up, I'm sorry. Why the fuck would I want a connection with a literal Nazi? Okay, I'm down to have some connections with some dumb people, because that's kind of funny. People who have the wrong opinions about things, that's fine. But that's a big jump from that to, like, literal, like, self-proclaimed Nazi that says that they don't want to live around black people. Like, hello? Sorry.
Doesn't have to do with a this cultural divide or racial divide or religious divide or the idea that America is becoming less white or culturally relevant anymore. I think our biggest problem is literally an oligarchy that is inflaming every single division that we have.
And
by the way, and they're out for you, man. Just as much as anybody else.
Why not agree?
So those platforms that we talk about that you're not allowed to be on because Elon's out on the platform. Elon doesn't give a shit about anything other than one thing.
But Hunter, I just want to say real quick.
Money and his money.
I don't necessarily even agree with that.
Okay, well, you may not agree with that because you don't want to piss off Elon Musk.
Elon doesn't even like me, but I just disagree.
You're talking about the oligarchy, right? Like these billionaires, right? Like the goal of corporate capture of these industries is community collapse. They are trying to engineer things to make it antisocial. They want to eliminate every single small business. They want to make everyone a single person shopper, no carpooling, like to be a lonely consumer who only buys things for themselves online and doesn't talk to anyone in real life. That's what they want in real life.
I'm going to go microwave this really fast. The soup is kind of cold. I ordered some pho, but it's kind of cold. So just give me 1 second.
Like all this data center shit, like everything they're doing is in a way trying to break up in-person engagement. And I feel like for you guys, it might be hard to answer because both of you guys are what they call like controversial public figures. Like there's places that you, like in 2018, if you were to go to a dive bar in, let's say, Poplar Bluff, Missouri, you would have been in danger. You know what I mean? At that time. For you were in danger physically in a left-wing city. It's just the truth. So I feel like you guys have been deprived of the ability to have normal lives. You especially, you know, but I mean you in general, but I feel like, you know, your controversies came a little bit later in life. For you, I feel like you haven't even been able to grow up as a normal person. Is that accurate to say?
Yeah, that's true. Well, and in terms of, you know, building community back and everything like that. You know, the data says that really the loss of society is the fact that we don't encounter people anymore. For example, on your way to work or, you know, in ways that are unexpected. People wake up in their house, which is separate from everybody else. They get in their car by themselves, drive to work by themselves, you know, and then they meet with their colleagues and everything, but then they go right home, go home, have a beer, watch Netflix until they go to bed. Next day starts all over again. And so, you know, I think it has a lot to do with maybe how we structure the cities. I think, honestly, a big part of it, there's like this abundance mindset with liberals. Liberals want to have prosperity and everything like that. How can you have that when the cities are not safe? I think that one of the ways, for example, if you want to have those encounters that are unplanned or spontaneous, they're going to happen maybe on the subway, on the bus, on your way to work. People don't want to ride the subway anymore. People don't want to ride the bus. They don't
I just feel
like
that
it's
if
safe.
you look at the data, like right now, 2026, I think 2025 had the lowest homicide rate of any year in America for like the past 4 years. I feel like if you compare data from the 90s, like the cities, I get what you're saying, but the cities I have noticed are a lot safer. They're also, you know, becoming more expensive as well. It could have something to do with it.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I'm back. Dude, can we go back for a second? What the fuck? You don't want to ride the subway anymore because people talk to you? What?
I think, honestly, a big part of it, there's like this abundance mindset with liberals. Liberals want to have prosperity and everything like that. How can you have that when the cities are not safe? I think that one of the ways, for example, if you want to have those encounters that are unplanned or spontaneous, they're going to happen maybe on the subway, on the bus, on your way to work. People don't want to ride the subway anymore. People don't want to ride the bus.
Okay.
They don't feel like it's safe.
He's saying people don't want to ride the subway or the bus because they don't feel like it's safe, so they're missing out on like the day-to-day interactions with other people. No, that's not why people aren't riding the bus and the subway. Okay, first of all, New York City, there hasn't been like a decline in people using public transport. That's not the problem is not that people don't want to use public transport. The problem is that there's no public transport to use. What?
Look at the data, like right now, 2026, I think 2025 had the lowest homicide rate of any year in America for like the past 4 years. I feel like if you compare data from the 90s, like the cities, I get what you're saying, but the cities I have noticed are a lot safer. They're also, you know, becoming more expensive as well. It could have something to do with it.
You're absolutely right. It's what you're saying, Nick, is impossible to refute, right? Because everybody has an experience with violence or witnessing a crime, or whether it's just in their local newspaper or not, is that I don't think that is in any way limited to only urban environments. I take the top 10 poorest red states in the country, and their crime rates are 10 times what many urban centers are.
So you'd be comparing like West Virginia, coal country, disenfranchised to like an urban neighborhood.
Yeah, in terms of per capita crime, in terms of per capita murder, in terms of per capita child sexual abuse, yeah. I think the things that people really care about, you know, things like that, is their own personal safety. Yeah. It is not.
It's also like violent crime has gone down year over year over year. The only time that there was a spike in the recent past was during COVID, during peak COVID, because, oh, surprise, every single bit of research that we do shows that material conditions impact people's desire to do crime. And when more people have their material conditions not met, more people begin to commit crime. Wow, shocking, right?
Not limited to African American urban or Latino American urban environments. I don't.
The mental gymnastics you have to go through to reject a leftist perspective, ideas, and policies, it's just baffling. I know. It's just like, no, copium, it's got to be something else. It has to be. It has to be. It's also like just a very like welcoming worldview that none of the problems in the world are because of you, and it's all because of these other people that suck and that are making the world worse. And if we just had segregation, it's just like people want simple answers and solutions for problems that are complicated.
It's not. It exists. Carjackings do happen, but you know where they happen? They happen in Biloxi, Mississippi, just as much as they happen in Chicago.
I'm skeptical of that.
I mean, I just think the idea of like safety,
it's almost like crime is not linked to anything greater. Or sorry, it's almost like the greatest indicator of crime is going to be someone's material conditions. Wow.
Crime has been. I feel like media has overblown the level of danger.
Everybody's going to fact check both of us on this, and but I agree with you. But my point about all of it is that you can always point to a reason, Nick. There's never been a time in which there hasn't been crime in major urban areas where you pack a lot of people in. You're right, though, is that the difference between us feeling like each other were our neighbors and that we can find some common ground is the fact, you can live in existence now and by the time you're 56 years old and never really have to leave your house to make a living, you don't go to the community center anymore. And I don't know how to fix that. And I certainly don't know how to fix it in the age of AI.
It all connects back to politics, right? Because community is like an essential human need, if not the most important thing. So when you are deprived of that, you're more likely to look for a radical solution and be like, everything's broken, we need to try something really out there. So you might embrace something more reactive.
Is he really calling this vile neo-Nazi by a nickname? Dude, don't get me started, man. I mean, I disagree on principle with, like, if you're Channel 5 News and you're going to bring on Nick Fuentes and let them have, like, an actual conversation, you better believe your ass if I had, like, I think if anyone that was even remotely pretending to be on the left, you need sriracha? What do you think I'm doing? Yeah. The only conversation you should be having with Nick Fuentes is, you're a racist piece of shit that's completely wrong about all these things. Debate me on any of these points in like an actual setting, in an actual debate setting, instead of this, like, we're just having a conversation and going back and forth. It's like, you can't have a conversation and a back and forth with someone who's an actual bad faith actor.
Reactionary on left or right to be like, fuck this, we need something new. And I'm not trying to draw this like male loneliness, like incel pipeline that the media tries to do all the time. But do you see a connection there between like people being lonely and having less friends and subcultural
absolutely.
choice taking over community value systems or community engagement and people just like driving to the extreme?
100%. I think social dislocation is probably the #1 problem of our times, because you look at the young people and you're right, it is one of those essential human
Honestly,
needs.
the purpose of the convo, other than humanizing the Nazi, I mean, like, I think like a debate format, like at Oxford or whatever, is dope. But like this like normalization and this like, because they're talking to him like he doesn't know that he's lying. They're talking to him like he is just pretending to be an accidental Nazi. And it's like, no, it's a very active effort. And he does it because he thinks it's like a fun, entertaining grift or whatever.
Is to connect and have that sense of familiarity, to be seen, to see and to be seen. And that's something young people don't have. And I think, by the way, you look at the way young people socialize and even the mentality, I think a lot of young people have this absolute drive to go to college. Why? It's an extension of high school. And what do high school and college have in common? It's a community. You're in the quad. You can see and be seen. There's sort of like a status, reputation. You're constantly involved with other people. And I think everybody, young people, look at when they graduate from college like falling off a cliff and now life is over. Because now you just have your job, the gym, and going back home, and that's it. And this is why a lot of young people then want to move to the big cities. Got to go to New York, got to go to Chicago or LA where it's happening. And they want to get a condo or an apartment downtown because they want to go to the bar scene and extend college a little bit longer. And I think that's just not really a sustainable way to have a society. There has to be.
Okay, maybe the people who have rich parents that can pay for their dorming experience go to college to make friends and get the college experience. But anyone who's not dorming is going there to get a fucking education, to get a piece of paper so they can get a job.
Be a way for people to still have that sense of community outside of, let's say, college and high school, even into their adulthood and then into their old age. So yeah, I mean, that's one of the biggest problems going on. And I agree. I think it drives, even to your point about the whites only community in Arkansas, I think it is driving these, let's call it ghettoization or insulation of people going into these artificial values-based communities.
Yeah.
Because where are you going to find people? Go online. Go online, start spouting about politics, or, even not just for incels and right-wingers, but even on the left. Someone like Tyler Robinson, he's on Discord. He's on Discord with all of the Overwatch play.
Discord is just WhatsApp for people who use a PC instead of a phone. Oh my God.
Players and all the LGBTQ or whatever. And I think that, there's a tendency there where everybody kind of amplifies some of the resentment or feelings there. So I agree, that's a huge driver.
So for you, like back in high school when you were like first kind of starting to use the internet and all that, did you build most of your community in person outside Chicago, or was it mostly online?
When I was in high school or college?
High school.
The high school, I had real friends in Model UN. That was my favorite thing. So that was.
But you were still creating like some kind of content at that time.
Not in high school, no.
Okay, so you went to BU.
Yes.
Were most of your friends like classmates there? Like when did you start to kind of build your online persona and community around your content?
It wasn't until I left college. So to that point, I had friends in college. And then when I left college and started my show independently, then it was all people online. And everybody I knew was people from my community for the most part.
But your cancellation from mainstream platforms was effectively the same thing as like a community collapse for your personal life, right?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't even say it was just a cancellation, but even
Yes, art, love, peace, yes.
more just returning home from college.
What do you think would have...
Guys, the pho is so good. This was a great decision. Thank you guys for letting me live out my dreams.
happened to you, like career-wise and personal life-wise, if you never would have been mainstreamed? I mean, I guess removed from major social media platforms.
Oh, it'd be a lot easier
Why
to
is he
make.
interviewing Nick? I don't know, man. I mean, I presume he's doing it because it's easy, like, content, or it's like, ooh, edgy content. But it's just like, I don't know, I was hoping for more. I'm like, I want to watch like another, I don't know, up to the next segment maybe, and then to just go from there. Because it's just like, I was hoping that it would be less of a conversation and more of a grilling session. And more of a, yeah, but you're just fucking wrong. Like, you're wrong about this, you're wrong about this, you're wrong about this. And your ideas are all fucking racist. And it's like, no, I'm sure people do misrepresent your positions. It's like, what the fuck?
Let's say, because, you know, being banned on Instagram, you might as well be dead. In Generation Z, that's how everybody sees each other, meets each other, talks to each other. So I think I probably have a wider, livelier
Gen Z,
circle.
so I don't know.
Do you feel like you had less friends after that?
No, I'd say it's about the same.
No, but I mean, you said that like you feel like it would have been easier to make friends.
It would have been easy to make more friends. Yeah, sure.
So aside from your career, how was your like personal and social life affected in those following years?
Well, it's brutal, you know. I mean, because everybody that I knew from high school is on Instagram, on Facebook, and I'm just not on there. It's almost like you're removed from the earth. For Generation Z, I understand for older people, for different generation, people still meet up or stay in touch in other ways. But if you're
I'm sorry. Let me see this. Let me see how old he is.
If you're not online as a young person, you might as well be dead.
Do you think you would have said like some of the more extreme things that you did say?
This isn't true. He's 27. That's not true. You don't need a fucking Instagram. What? I didn't have an Instagram until he started making content. I got an Instagram to use or to make content on. That's it. That's the only reason I have one. And I denied myself getting an Instagram because I fucking hated using Instagram. And there were so many experiences I had where people were like, oh, like, what's your Instagram? I'm like, I don't use it. Not on like a principled stance, not because I think I'm too good for Instagram. I just didn't like Instagram. I just did not enjoy my Instagram experience. And I tried to get into it multiple times and I failed.
If you I guess were allowed to remain on the mainstream internet?
Absolutely, yeah.
Looking back, and I'm not trying to get you to like take something back necessarily, what's like one thing that you said when you were younger where you're like, fuck, I wish I could take that back?
You know, I don't know if I regret what I've said. It's just how you say it.
Yeah, like, can you think of an example of like when you listen back to something and you're like, geez, I wish I could.
Yeah. So I did this rally in 2023 called Fuentes Rally 2. And the one comment I said, we're talking about a spiritual battle between Christians and everybody else. And I said, we're in a holy war. I said, and we're going to make them die in a holy war. And the second I said that, I was like, didn't mean to say that. It's an extemporaneous speech. So you don't rehearse it, you just say things. And I was like, didn't mean that, shouldn't have said that. So it's always the how, it's always in the delivery that I...
Nick, I can think of about 4 things that I really wish you would take back right now.
Like what?
The cookies in the oven?
Well, it's a joke.
But it's not, Nick. My wife is Jewish. My son is Jewish. No, Nick. I promise you. Don't get mad.
I'm not mad.
Okay,
it's
I know. But okay. But you gotta understand.
Like, what is
how
this?
Incredibly.
What is this like? Listen, little guy, I know you just made a little oopsie, all right? Maybe you just need a real father figure in your life to understand what you did wrong. It's like, no, dude. Why are you babying the fucking Nazi, dude?
Incredibly. Whether it's a joke or not, it's a lived experience passed down from generation to generation, whether or not, and by the way, not just from the Holocaust, not just from 1939 on, 2,000 years of history, okay? forget about Israeli politics and Netanyahu, because I think we agree about Bibi Netanyahu. I'm positive we do. And I've listened to you talk about it. But you got to understand. Look at me, man.
I see.
It hurts. It hurts.
Does it?
Nick, I promise you it does. When you compare my wife's family.
Does it? Does it hurt to make jokes about the Holocaust? Does it? Like, oh my God. It's just so. It's like he says intentionally inflammatory things to hurt people's feelings, to mock the people whose feelings he's hurting. Like, what?
To cookies going to an oven, it hurts. And you've got to understand that. And by the way, I'm looking at you.
Yeah.
And I believe that you do know that.
See, that's where you
Nick,
lose me. That's where you lose me.
Okay, Nick. Okay, I'm telling you.
Well, listen, are we here to talk or are you here to lecture me and preach
Okay, no,
to
you're
me?
right. Let me listen.
Okay.
So you're right.
So
You're right.
this is
okay.
the thing, because, you know, and I think this is a disconnect. I think that the left and even people on the right, they're losing the young people. Why do people love me? Not in spite of, but because of the outrageous things that I say. Not in spite of, but because I say offensive things. Because I, let's say, drop the N-word on a video or something. Yeah. It's because people are sick of the preachiness, the
Nick.
lecturing.
Okay, I'll listen
they
to what
really
you
are.
say. But Nick, I disagree. I think that you're appealing to the lowest common denominator of thought. If you're hating on the people that they think are the reason for their suffering, then you must be on their side. I don't think that you believe that about the Holocaust. I think you think the Holocaust did happen. But forget about whether or not you think that it is used politically in a way that is obtuse and wrong. But I think that you do believe that. And I think that you have to. Like, what's your cultural heritage?
I'm Italian, Mexican, and Irish.
Mexican. When did they come in Italian? When did the Mexicans come? When did the Irish come?
Mexicans came turn of the last century.
Yeah.
Italians came in the 1860s.
Yeah.
Irish came in the early 1900s.
Okay. So maybe you wouldn't care about something that is like grossly offensive just on the face of it and think that, oh, why can't people just believe that that's funny? But you got to understand, it's from the perspective of somebody that has that trauma, and I think that there is such a thing as generational trauma, and those stories are passed down generation to generation. When you say something like that, they completely shut off. They can't.
He did forget gay.
Hear another thing that you're saying about this cultural disconnect, about losing.
Bro, what are you doing with your life? Smoking crack was more productive than this? I completely agree with you, man. The more I watch it, the more I fucking hate it. I just, like, I can't, like,
communities, about the feeling of being left out or left behind in a world in which there no longer is this sense of community. All the other things that you say, everybody else is left, and what you do pick up. You pick up the ones that hear the dog whistle. You pick up the ones that say, yeah, that's the way that I feel, because it's radical. It's like he's willing to say the thing that nobody else will say in this environment. And then you get, an enormous amount of niche, but love from that. And I just don't believe that you believe that. I don't believe that you think that it was appropriate for you to say something like that. I don't think you believe that it's appropriate to say women shouldn't vote.
Let's give Nick a second to respond to the first thing.
I know, I talk constantly. That's how I do this.
he definitely believes the woman thing. Come on, be fucking real for a second. Are you kidding me?
It's all good. It's all good.
I apologize.
I get it, and I understand that perspective, and it is offensive, and it is provocative, and that's sort of what makes it funny. I mean, what we would say in our generation is edgelording. We're being edgy. We're being provocative. And I think that it is that kind of overbearing sense for our entire...
Nick, I'm the king of edgelord.
Well, in a certain way.
Let's let Nick explain the psychology behind edgelording.
It's that overbearingness that my generation's had our entire lives. That's not appropriate. That's not funny. Think of the trauma. That's racist. That's white supremacist. That makes it funny.
Like, how pathetic of a world you must live in. That the only way that you can find some comedy is by making fun of what other people find offensive. As someone who makes jokes about pretty much everything, what a sad way to live. What a sad, pathetic way to live. Well, the things that are the most funny are the things that people get hurt by. I'm 14. Okay. Okay. I'm sorry, the hardest you'll ever laugh in your life is about an inside joke that makes no sense, that's totally absurd, that has you on the floor crying, laughing, in pain. That's the hardest I've always laughed. And I've watched edgy comedians, and I've thought some of their jokes were funny, but guess what? Still has not gotten close to the laughter I've had with like the dumbest inside joke between friends.
It makes it different, interesting. And let me grant, by the way, I think that now...
Like, I'm going to be honest, guys. That Pangria clip, that XQC Pangria clip, that one and like the... I'm laughing just thinking about it. The CS clip? I'm flashing. Oh my god, he flashed me. How does he know where I am? I'm mollying. Oh my god, he just mollied me. Where'd your molly go? I haven't thrown it yet. Just thinking about the clip makes me fucking laugh. The second to last time I watched it, I think, I was like literally on the floor, like rolling and dying. And just like crying because I couldn't even fucking breathe. And I'm sorry, even the funniest Nick Fuentes clip that I have laughed at is not as funny as that. It's just not. This one.
I think there's one in Z. Care. I'm sitting in the smoke.
I'm gonna molly him then.
Okay. I just got mollied. I think they mollied me. Where did your molly hit?
I didn't throw it yet. Want me to throw it?
Yeah. Okay, I'm blind. They just fucking threw a fucking perfect flash at me. These guys like know right where I'm at. Alright.
Mollies him, flashes him, kills him. And he's just like trying his best to not laugh. He's trying his best to not laugh. I forgot he team killed him. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh my god. Oh my god. Jesus fucking Christ. These guys know right where I am. Oh my god, this is like the funniest clip. I'm sorry. It's so good. This is like, and I've seen some funny Nick Fuentes clips. This is funnier than any Nick Fuentes clip I've ever seen in my life.
I think there's one in Z. Care. I'm sitting in the smoke.
I'm gonna molly him then.
Okay. I just got mollied. I think they mollied me. Where did your molly hit?
I didn't throw it yet. Want me to throw it?
I didn't throw it.
Yeah. Okay, I'm blind. They just fucking threw a fucking perfect flash at me. These guys like know right where I'm at.
Oh my god, dude. Stop. And then his fucking face. The guilty face. The absolute guilt on his face as he's like, these guys know right where I am. How do they know? I was like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna say you fucking mollied him and then flashed him and then killed him? Oh my god, Jesus. So yeah, I'm sorry. I think it's just like very baby brain. It's just like very teenager, very middle schooler to be like,
oh, this is so funny because it triggers other people. Heh. Isn't it so funny that it triggers other people?
And I'm not saying you can't make something funny that happens to trigger other people. I think you can have funny bits that trigger people. I think that's fine. Or that upset people or whatever. I mean, that's how I feel about every single joke about British people. However, like, just grow up. Like, you know what I mean? This is not peak comedy.
and this is maybe a concession towards you, now that my kind of humor has become mainstream and popular, I don't even think that that's funny anymore. People do the edgelording thing. It's become so commonplace and so tired. I don't think it's that funny or impressive. That's a big part of why I kind of moved past it, because 10 years ago, it was treated like sacrilegious. And there's something funny about the fact that you could say a word or make a joke.
She like grabbed my arm and started chewing on it. What can I help you with? She was like, Wormy, calm down. Not like biting hard, but just like nibbling. She's hungry.
Joke and make people lose their minds and freak out, and it was like an international incident if you said the wrong thing. And I think that's what made it tempting, especially for a young person. You want to rebel, you want to be defiant, you want to be a little revolutionary or something. Now, as time has gone on, I think that's become a fad. Everybody does it. It's lost its power. And I think that, by the way, part of why we're getting less of it is because instead of getting the preachy lecture from the left saying that's not appropriate, people just roll their eyes. Now, when an edgy white person says the N-word, people roll their eyes and go, really? You know, that joke again? People hear someone wears a Nazi costume, makes a Holocaust joke. People go, really? That joke again? It's not impressive. It's not funny anymore. We've seen it before. And ironically, that is what makes you get less of it, when you disempower those.
By the way, guys, this is what I've said since day one. Since I started streaming, I've been, how do I talk about this? I feel like if I can be honest with all of you and be open about something, if we can have a sort of serious moment for a second. I do think a lot of people who've watched my streams over the years have failed to understand that one common strategy I've talked about, and I've talked about it multiple times, is instead of placing importance on these people's words, your greatest strength against those people is to mock, humiliate, and laugh. And that is more effective than anything else. Look at what Stavros has done to Asmongold. Do you understand that someone who is going in all in on like edgy content and trying to be someone so edgy that no one can out-edge them, and in response to any time you try and moral shame them, they just say like, I don't care about what you think. And I think a lot of people, I understand why, but I think a lot of people over time have thought that my desire to mock and humiliate and to engage in like more slop tactics has been a failure to engage directly. But I've tried engaging directly, and I've tried engaging like earnestly and honestly, and it's not an effective strategy. And I think a lot of people think, or maybe a lot of people have thought, and even though I've talked about this a little bit, getting bullied into getting a paid girlfriend is crazy. It's so insane to me, but it's not a big deal. I mean, I think it's funny as fuck. I think he should keep going until he loses all of his audience doing that shit. Yes, keep going. But yeah, I do think a lot of people have thought, or how do I phrase what I want to say? I think a lot of people have misunderstood my strategy as a lack of a desire to want to engage in like serious political discussion. But the reality is, for some people, it's not as effective. There are instances where I think it is effective, but I would say most of the stuff on the internet, which is where I reside, the most effective strategy is social shaming, mocking, and laughing. Like, I don't call empregasis because I think it's like cutting edge criticism that totally debunks everything he says, because he's not operating in good faith anyways, so why the fuck would I engage in good faith? It like makes no sense. It's not an effective strategy to engage in good faith. I could do it all day, all night, and it wouldn't matter. But calling him empregasis is fucking hilarious. Like, whether or not you think that joke is funny, it's absurd enough that I'm having fun. And it's very funny to watch him get insecure about being called what he thought was me calling him fat. I wasn't calling him fat. I just wanted to say he was boy preggers. Like, I just thought that would be a funny thing to do. And instead he got like really insecure and he's like, I've actually been working out. You know, I actually like look pretty good right now. Like, I don't know if you know this, like, but I'm actually like bulking right now. So if I look a little bit fat, it's not actually fat. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? Why the fuck are you defending yourself on screen? owned you are and how not mad you are. So triplets, huh? Oh. You have names for them yet? So yeah, I think it's like the same thing. Like, and look, here's the most right-winger on the internet that has existed. And here he is literally saying exactly that, which is like the serious political engagement is not an effective strategy for taking down people on the internet. I think it's a pretty effective, I think it's a reasonably effective strategy in mainstream politics sometimes. But I think on the internet, it's a much more effective strategy to make fun of someone and to like mock them. Like, I think it's funny to say that Asmongold gave up and he realized finally that Emeru's never going to fuck him because he's disgusting. And instead he needs to go and find someone he can have a transactional relationship with where he can cross promote their OnlyFans and she can try and make him look and pretend like he's being normal. Like, I think that that is an effective strategy. I think mocking him for that, which is it's very obvious what he's doing. Like, come on. I don't know what else there is to say. Also, man, it must have hurt to, he's like sending Emmy a bunch of messages and being like, please, my queen, please. And then what he perceived as flirting, and then for her to go on stream and be like, by the way, we're not flirting in these. It's like, show me where it hurts. And it's the whole body's in red. Oh. But yeah, I mean, and again, it's like, even think about like, snark or whatever. What does snark do? It makes fun of people. Like, pick a creator that has a snark community. They're making fun of you. That's it. And as long as you let it get to you, great. You've shown that their strategy is like effective. It's so, like, I just don't understand what the point is. Like, it's so bizarre. But yeah, all of that was just to say, I do think that if you're interacting with someone who is good faith, you should be good faith back. But when you're engaging with people who are not good faith, who have no desire to be good faith, who have no financial incentive to be good faith, and they've shown already that they have no desire. Like, I'm sorry, the conversation that Hassan and Asmongold had, which I thought was a conversation where there was a genuine attempt at like improving rhetoric and getting less right wing, it turned out to be, it's like a total waste of time and a total, it turned out to be worthless because he has no interest in actually being good faith because it doesn't get him money to be good faith. Like, he is more, and not money, sorry, fame is the more accurate term because he doesn't need more money. He doesn't spend any of it. But he just, I guess, like wants like the fame or like the clout or like the adoring fans or whatever, that it makes him feel good and it makes him feel like he's actually saying stuff that's worthwhile and that he hasn't like fallen off or whatever. But if you're going to talk to someone who has a clear incentive to continue engaging in the rhetoric they're engaging in, and they haven't shown any desire to change or improve or whatever, why continue to engage that way? It's just not, again, it's just not effective. Like, it's not. And I think you can go and look at some of the best takedowns of people over the years, and some of the best ones have been mocking and attacking the character and the persona behind like a creator or like a political commentator or whatever. Like, I think it's funny as fuck to mock Steven Crowder, that he's like this big burly bro and he pretends to be big and strong and he wears like these holsters and he walks up and he's like, change my mind, and the never back down mugs. And then he can't debate Sam Cedar. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying Sam Cedar isn't good at debating. That's not what I'm saying. I mean, go watch his Jubilee if you think I'm saying that. I'm saying Sam Cedar is a very generous debater. Like, he doesn't engage in bad faith. And he tries to, like, hold your hand through things. It's more like disappointed professor. Like, I would understand running away from a debate with, like, Mehdi Hassan, because I would run away from that. I'd be like, ugh, I don't even know what we're debating. I'm scared. But, like, Sam Cedar is generally a pretty nice person, I would say. And he just gives, again, like, disappointed professor. Like, you should know better. What, like, I just don't, and I think if you engage in good faith or you try to be or pretend to be good faith, you know, Uncle Sam is there to be generous and to give you outs. So, like, him running away from that, wearing a never back down shirt and then putting his little fucking, like, homunculus on the screen instead of him. And it's just this dude in a chair being like, hey, guys. Hey. Yeah, Steven Crowder, he's just in the other section. And everyone's like, can you put the camera back on Steven Crowder? Who the fuck is this guy? Can you put the, why did the camera change? What the fuck are we doing here? Like that, I think, between that and then obviously abusing his wife, between those two things, I think like he lost literally all of his credibility. And it wasn't like a takedown of his ideas that did that. It was a takedown of him as a person. It just made him look kind of like an empty husk of a person. It was kind of gross and kind of depressing. It made him look like a loser. It did. I mean, I thought so. I saw that and I was like, damn, like, that's kind of cringy. You're supposed to be this big, burly man, and you're supposed to be, you know, like, you always talk about, like, we need to be protectors, and women always be settling down with the wrong men, and they should pick good men like us. And then you're like the worst person alive. And then there's a video of you saying,
That doesn't work for me either. That doesn't work for me either.
like, oh my God. That's so cringe. That is really cringy. And I think a lot of the people that stopped watching were like, ooh, I can't watch this guy. That's cringy. What the hell? I think on the same sort of like front, maybe in like a similar vein, I think that's also why like a lot of people felt a strong distaste about Ethan Klein over the years. That like, it's not that he has to say anything that's objectively wrong for those people to stop watching or to stop listening, because they don't expect him to be correct about everything. He's supposed to be like the goofy internet guy or whatever. I think it's that like, he just like let his ego get out of fucking control, and then he decided he has to be like, he's never allowed to be wrong about anything, and instead of just saying like, because again, I think like an answer, I think if they had taken, if Ethan and Hassan had taken like a hiatus from Leftovers and said, yeah, I'm sorry, like this issue, if Ethan Klein had said, I'm sorry, this issue is just too close to home. I have family members that are Israeli, and I'm not saying that my opinions are correct, but I know that it's too close to home for me to talk about. And I just can't do it. Like, I just can't. Like, I don't have the mental fortitude and the emotional energy. And I just want all of us to understand that human life is valuable. And there are a lot of innocent people that are being hurt off of, like, state actors that are engaging in awful behavior, horrible behavior. And like, I think personally, I'd be like, I would still be expecting more or wanting more. Okay, Wormy. Why did she just move the camera? You just didn't... You want them to see the food? Okay, they can see the food, I guess. Sure, why not? Just don't put your foot on the power button, Wormy. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, she said, the camera's too big. Bothering everyone. Oh my God. Thank you for letting me know. Unrelated, a car just drove down into Berlin Pride and killed someone. I'll look at that in a sec. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, I think that wouldn't have been an answer that I would have liked to hear someone say like, this situation is too close to me. But I think it would have been an answer that a lot of people would have wanted to hear. I think a lot of people wanted to hear someone say, or wanted to hear him say, I just can't do it. I just can't. And it would have been honest. It definitely would have been honest. And instead of doing that, it was just like, he just like got resentful that people perceived his statements to be wrong. But like, the internet isn't about necessarily being right or wrong. The internet is about, like, I feel like being a creator online is about instilling positive emotions, usually instilling an emotion in people. Usually positive, although some people operate on fear. Like, I don't think anyone wants to see someone be a crybaby. I just don't think, and then double down, and then triple down, and then quadruple down. And now it's like what even is happening? You're gonna sue this guy Noah Samson, and then he's gonna fundraise for like 120 grand, and then you're gonna drop the lawsuit, and then he's just gonna donate 100 grand. Like, what was the like? What the fuck? What is the strategy here exactly? Hey, Denims, are you winning? Oh, I'm winning, all right. His pity and emotion? I maybe. Wormy. Oh my god, she just ran around in a circle behind her tail. It's about him feeling attacked when people who associate with the Israeli identity have extra victimhood expectation. Yeah, but like, I have a lot of opinions about things on the internet that are sexist, and I don't talk about them because I don't think that, I think there's like a net negative to trying to talk about those things. Right? Like, you guys are sane, so I think you guys understand. If you think all of the people on the internet saying that me and the other people who got sued initially were going to lose, if you think none of that, sorry, all the people who said that we were going to lose, if you think none of that was at all pushed or moved by misogyny, you're definitely mistaken. It's definitely a lot easier, especially on the internet, to be like, look at this stupid woman. She doesn't even know. She's not allowed to talk about a lawsuit ever on the internet. It's like, what? Yeah, you are. Lawyers will only suggest to not talk about it when they feel like their clients can't have any restraint about what they're talking about, which is why Tectone literally had to stop streaming. And if you don't know if your client has any restraint, probably the correct thing to do is to say, hey, just like don't talk about it at all. If you think that there would be restraint, or you think that there's like a net positive there to talk about it, and I wanted to keep you guys informed, then it was worthwhile. Because I'm not talking about anything that's wrong to talk about. I'm just talking about what's in our, like what was literally in my filings, what was literally in the case. That's obvious, right? But like, I can't talk about, all of that was to say, even if you have this perceived victimhood, I don't think people on the internet necessarily are very welcoming to perceived victimhoods, whether they're true or not, which is why I just don't, in general, like I pretty much never use the word I don't know if I ever used the word patriarchy. I've probably used it like a handful of times, maybe less than 5 times, because the second people hear that word, they're like, ugh, this again. Ugh, even if you're using the correct term in the correct way. Or like even talking about misogyny. I'll talk about misogyny when it comes to maybe other people or other instances. We are really not allowed, I think, to say like, this is misogyny about me or whatever, or towards me. Not like not allowed to, but rather you get punished for it, I think, harder. Even there was like a clip of me on Twitter, and I could not believe, like, it was me talking about the Graham Plattner situation, and I make my entire point. I make the whole point, and I say there were a million red flags. We should have been able to see this. What do you mean this guy goes on multiple tours and has this history of like comments on Reddit that talk about how happy he was going to war and killing people, and how he loves war and combat is the most fun, and he wishes he could go to combat and go and do more combat because he had so much fun. And here are all of the comments that he made on Reddit about consent that were very questionable and very rapey. And I don't know, man, maybe like a giant Nazi tattoo on your chest when you only have like 2 other tattoos is a very questionable thing. And we chose, and by we, I mean the people who were like endorsing Plattner, or God forbid, fundraising for Plattner. They chose to not ignore, but overlook that stuff because they felt like his positions were too good to let go. That's how people felt. But in like the clip that was on Twitter, I made the mistake of saying like, and there was a big part of this that was ignoring brown and black voices. And like almost all of the comments are like, oh my God, can you believe this? Can you believe this? These leftists, what does brown and black voices have to do with it? What does it even have to do with it at all? I'm tired of this idpol. It's like, oh, I don't know. I guess if you just ignore all of the other things I said, you can hyper focus on one detail that lets you feel better about yourself. All right, dude. Oh my God. It's just like, it's just cringy. It's just cringy. So you can't like, I feel like in general, trying to capitalize on victimhood or self-victimhood, I think it's not an effective strategy. I mean, literally look at Tectone. It's like, it's cringe. It's like, actually, it's cringe. Maine is like 98% white. Okay, but does it have to be that white guy? Okay, but does it have to be? Don't let whiny babies stop you from using words. Well, no, I just like using the best words for the strategy that I'm deploying or employing or whatever. If I want to convince people to have my position, I should use the language that's best for doing that. Right? And if people's feelings are so sensitive that the second you say brown and black voices, they start ignoring everything else you say, then I just don't have to. Which is, again, the same reason why, like, I try to stay away from even talking about, like, misogyny in general, about misogyny directed to me, because it's just like people hear that and then they tune out and they just ignore everything else. And it's like, okay, weird. It's not like people who are excited about his politics have a say in if he ran or not. Our inability to trust legacy media also plays a role. Even myself, without knowing the details, it was easy to believe early on the establishment was trying to drum up a story. Well, yeah, and again, like, to be very clear, I'm not talking about random viewers or consumers of any of these shows or podcasts or creators or anything like that, because I think that that's reasonable. Because you're not going to fucking do so much research, especially if you don't even live in Maine and you're not even going to fucking vote for Maine and you're not going to even donate to his campaign or whatever, right? Because that's how I felt for a while. I was like, I just don't even want to look into this shit because I just like, no, I'm going to be disappointed. I think it's more so the people I feel like as like a political commentator, you have a responsibility to be as informed as possible and take everything as seriously as possible. And a lot of people just overlooked it and were like, no, it's got to be a smear campaign. It's like, damn, like we can ask for a little bit more, I think. We can ask for like just a tiny bit more. We can say like, hey, I looked into these claims. I don't think that they were substantiated. I don't think that they were enough. If anything comes out, I will obviously change my mind. But, yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I'm still supporting Plattner, or I'm not supporting Plattner now, or whatever. So, yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think chat understands where I'm at. 90% of Maine, outside Maine, were like, okay, Maine, good luck. Hope he has plans to follow through. Yes, totally agree. Views were low, so Denim started streaming 8 to 9 hours a day. I think a lot of folks also were pro Plattner who were desperate for change. They looked over the fact that he didn't earn his stripe. Yeah. And it's just good to know and to like take a look and double check, biases on that stuff. And also, I don't think anyone is evil for just getting lost in the sauce and really wanting to support Plattner in the moment and overlooking these things, even if it's their job to do that, right? I don't like, it's not an irredeemable, it's not like they were the ones fucking raping women. They wanted to believe in a candidate that they believed in. They wanted everyone else to believe in this candidate. That's like, I want them to do better in the future, but it's not like a irreparable harm or irreparable stain on anyone, I don't think. I think it's very easy to make that mistake when you really want your candidate to win and you really appreciate how a candidate has been running their campaign. And it's possible that if the same thing happened with Mamdani or similar things had happened with Mamdani, maybe I would have overlooked it because I really wanted him to win. Maybe if I was in that position and like someone came out and said something initially, but it was like, it wasn't enough on its own. And then some people are talking about, oh, the Reddit comments are coming out. I might just ignore it. But it's maybe not. I don't know. It's hard to say. What I'm saying is I'm coming from a place of understanding and I get how you can get so caught up and so wrapped up in wanting this candidate to win, especially because there were attacks from establishment Dems and there were attacks from Republicans pretty much nonstop on Plattner. So I understand that. I get that. Like, I feel that position completely. There's not any confusion in my mind, and I don't think anything is like necessarily that there was an irredeemable fault that occurred there. And I think if we all got like something valuable out of it, I mean, this is way better than the alternative, I think, of him getting in office and then we have to deal with this afterward. Fuck. I wish it had happened sooner, but it's definitely a lesson for me. I had to recognize accepting someone who was way too down with structural violence because he said that actually, no, he wasn't down with it anymore. And he like barely said that, right? Because he had only said, which again, I think like there was a net positive from the whole thing. I think all of us learned something, and I think all of us can be better in the future about recognizing how far someone should go. Like him saying, no more unnecessary wars. How about no more wars? How about no more wars? Well, there just should not be. We should not be starting wars. Please tell me this will be a VOD. Oh, absolutely. So I think that like gives us the ability to like look back and recognize where some of us went wrong and how we can be better about it in the future. But all of that was just a long stun lock to say, I said this on stream many moons ago and it got clipped, but I made the mistake of also saying, and I think a lot of brown and black voices and creators online kind of rang the alarm on this. And then the comments are like, why does it matter that they're brown and black? And it's like, that's what you took away from this? That's what you took away from this entire thing? Really? So cringy, dude. Oh my God. Christ. You can use absolutely, like, the completely correct statements, completely correct sentiment. You can be totally in the right, but then someone can just get offended. And then, like, they lose the plot completely. I never idolized Plattner. I just wanted the policy in the bag. And I respect that. I do. I do respect that. Completely. I don't think that there was anything wrong with people who felt that way. I think that is the correct, that was, if you were supportive of Plattner, I think that was the correct stance to have. I think that was the only stance to have. Just peace. Yeah, exactly, dude. We needed a win with all the fuck shit going on. Well, yeah, but we had a lot of, I think it's more so the opposite, that we had a lot of crazy shit going on and we had a lot of wins. Like, people were just so excited after Mamdani and after, like, a lot of the, every single Mamdani endorsed candidate won. And I think people felt so good and they're like, you more. And we got a little caught up. So, I think that's how you should be with politicians as a whole also. Yeah, the fog of victory. Yeah, Mamdani, my mayor. I'm European. What was I trying to say? Right message is not the right messenger. Agree. Anyways, yeah, this is like so disappointing, bro. Why would you bring Nick Fuentes on and then just like, it's so cringy. It's so cringy. Let me bring Nick Fuentes on and then do nothing but be like, hey, son, we're just really disappointed. It's like, you know what it feels like? Okay, I finally found the words for it. Bringing Nick Fuentes on and then having him talk to Hunter Biden feels like trying to talk to Cartman. Like, are we, like, what the fuck are we doing? You know that makes people feel bad, right? Hello? He doesn't care. What the fuck? That's the point. That's why he does what he does. You're not like gonna talk him out of it by saying like, you shouldn't do that. It's really mean.